Welcome, fellow friends, neighbors, distinguished guests, and candidates. It's my pleasure to host the 2024 GOP primary candidate town hall where you, the voters, ask the questions. Now, we have a lot of ground to cover. Your time is valuable, and getting to know your candidates, it's crucial. That's why we're all here. So before we get down to business, I want to invite a dear friend and brother in the Lord, Richard Proctor, to please come on up and open us up in a word of prayer. Come on up, Richard. That's all right. If you could all rise with me while we go to the Lord in prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, please bless this group of fine people that have come together to discuss the issues that have been presented to this county. Please watch over all of the voters, all of the candidates. Keep them blessed as they move forward, and always keep you on their mind. So with that, we would like to thank you to keep them and their families healthy through this election cycle and all the way into the general. Thank you for watching over us, and we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Richard. And so now if you folks could just remain standing for one moment. I want to welcome Ray Ligon. He's a local, he's a recording artist, for him to come forward and sing our national anthem. Before we go with the national anthem, I just want to let you know a little bit about Ray. He is an award-winning independent country artist, singer, songwriter. He's a multiple-time entertainer of the year, male vocalist of the year, and songwriter of the year in the Kentucky Country Music Association, and more. It's my privilege to welcome, to sing the greatest song ever written, in my opinion, Mr. Ray Ligon.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light, proudly we hear at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof tonight that our flag was still there. Oh, and the whole God bless. Thank you.
Beautiful rendition of that, Ray Ligon. Thank you so much. Incidentally, I just want to make a notice. Ray Ligon has a new album dropping on June 1st, so make sure you check him out. He's great. He's local now, so get to know him. So before we get into the swing of things, I need to give some words of thanks. Thank you to my better half, Sharon, for being the main coordinator of this event. You were lights out overseeing the Lincoln Day dinner, and you've knocked it further out of the park here. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sharon. And I want to thank the members of Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada for doing all the legwork and all the intangibles at this event. You are a great team of doers, and it does not go unnoticed. I want to send a special thank you to my friend and official co-moderator and timekeeper extraordinaire, Stephanie Hashimura. You're going to have the toughest job of the evening, but I do appreciate you. And thank you, candidates, for prioritizing this event, committing to it, and putting it all on the line to go directly to your voters like this. That's what great leaders do, and I thank you. I won't be any more critical of any candidate not in attendance or who never RSVP'd in the first place. Ultimately, you need to do what's right, what you feel is right in your campaign, but we voters, we need to do what's best for us too. And these candidates that you're going to see tonight, what was best for their campaign was coming out here and earning your vote in a public setting like this. To me, and I consider myself a savvy voter, that is speaking volumes. So, and I also appreciate the dignitaries in attendance and willingness to engage our residents here today. Thank you for being here. Many of you are here, and trust me, we see you. Most of all, I want to thank you, the residents of Southern Nevada, the concerned citizens, the informed voters. You are going to be the ones who help turn this town, this county, this state, and this country around. Thank you for being here. I want to go over the housekeeping rules for this town hall, this debate, rules for the debate panels, and also rules for you, the audience. Each panel will come up and candidates will give 2-minute opening speeches, and each panelist will have 90 seconds to answer your town hall questions. At the moderator's discretion, which is me and Stephanie, 30-second rebuttals and elaborations will be permitted. So candidates, raise your hand when you want to chime in. You can be assertive, you can be yourself, but please be respectful. Be respectful to each other and also of each other's time. So now you audience members, make sure you keep the noise to respectful levels. The occasional cheer, hand clap, uncontrolled expression of anger, just kidding, that's probably okay. But there will be no major disruptions, no drawn-out heckling or shouting down candidates. My advice, let these folks on stage duke it out for your entertainment, and you're going to be glad that you did. So without further ado, let the fun begin. At this time, I'd like to call up your Nye County Republican candidates for Commission Districts 1 and 2. Get on up here, candidates. Let's give a round of applause and a warm welcome to these folks. Come on up.
It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger.
On his way. He does drive oftentimes from Tonopah, so he is going to be the panelist as you're looking at the stage on the far left. Hopefully he's going to be here in time. But I want to announce the panelists that we have on stage now from your left to the right. We have Nye County District 2 candidates, Dan Blackstone, Beth Borisowicz, Sally Kerr, and John Koenig. Welcome, candidates. All right, so now to business. Each candidate will give an opening statement of up to 2 minutes before we get into the town hall questions. We will start with the end candidate. That's going to be, for right now, Mr. Blackstone, and then work our way across the stage. We're going to have you all take turns being asked questions first to try to keep it as fair as we can here. We ask you to mute your mics if you see that there's interference and audio problems. We have most of that ironed out, so I wouldn't worry too much about it, but if you hear some feedback, you might have to mute it. We're going to start with you, Mr. Blackstone. The floor is yours. Go for it. Actually,
All right. Can you hear me now? All right. My name is Dan Blackstone, and I'm running for County Commissioner District 2. I have an extensive background in managing people and managing different businesses. I have held upper management positions in various companies. I have been self-employed for most of the last 43 years. I am a businessman, not a politician. Everyone knows the roads need attention, and that will be my top priority if I'm elected. It takes money to fix the roads, but money is not always the solution. Is the department being managed efficiently? I don't know the answer to that, but I will do my best to find out. In my past, when I would take over a company or a branch, I would ask the managers if he or she needed to get what they needed to get the job done. Almost always I was told more money or more people. And sometimes that's correct, sometimes that's not. I am not going to promise you things that I cannot keep, but I have a lot of business experience and common sense, and I feel our county is not being operated like it should. Most politicians are not experienced at running a business. They are good at telling you what they want you to hear just so they can get elected. We have some serious problems, and I'm looking at things from a business point of view, not like a politician. Some of the problems that we have are homelessness, retention of deputies, outrageous electric bills, and I could go on and on. The RPC recently approved a facility to be built across the street from our courthouse, allowing California and probably other states to bring their medical trash into Pahrump to be disposed of. Medical trash is extremely dangerous, and it will be transported on 18-wheelers over our fantastic roads. I do not want our town to turn into Pahrump the dump, and I don't want to become the trash can for California. There's a meeting for the commissioners on Tuesday, and please, everybody, attend that. Okay? We need people to be there. And I had a few more sentences to do.
go ahead, Beth.
Hello, everybody. My name is Beth Borisevich. I am a business analyst and a computer analyst. So if you know that profession, you know that we do research. We read all kinds of weird documents, everything, all kinds of scientific data. The reason that I'm running for Nye County Commission 2 is because I believe that our town can be better. The current commissioners have been at their job quite a while. Some people may not do the research that they need to do. I created a group called Voices in Nye County where I brought up the medical waste that the Planning Commission had approved this medical waste. The medical waste that they want to bring in will be burnt into biochar, and then it will be dumped into our landfill. So you're going to go fill up the landfill. Where are we going to get the money for a new landfill? On top of that, we were under the EPA watch for the dust, and with that, when the winds kick up, biochar can go flying all across the valley. Also, I have been vocal about DEA, their rate increase, and their non-transparency. I will ask the questions that need to be asked. I don't care if they sound rude. It's just that I want the answers. And we all want the answers. I want everybody in this room and in this entire town and the county to understand that you can call me whether I get on the council or not, and I will try and find an answer for you. I have a big heart and I have a big mouth. I want your vote. Thank you.
Sal.
Good evening, I'm Sally Kerr. Thank you all for taking time out of your night to come down and spend some time with us as candidates. We always like to hear what you have to say about your concerns, what you think we're doing successfully, and what you think we need to work on harder. I have wanted to be a county commissioner for years. I spoke with my late husband often and would say, I'm going to run to be a county commissioner. And he would say, why would you do that? That's a thankless job, and I think you're out of your mind. And I would say to him, if the people with integrity won't stand up and do this job, then what are we left with? And it's been a desire for a long time to be able to impact our community in a positive way. I've lived here 22 years. I have 3 generations here, so I have grandchildren who live here, go to school here, work here, range from ages 22 to brand new twin baby granddaughters, and I don't ever want them to leave. I want them to have a place where they can live and be proud. I want them to be able to get a good education. I want them to have stable jobs. I want our infrastructure to support them. And I just have a desire to bring people together to work on our solutions. I'm solutions driven. I know how to bring people together. I have run nonprofits in this community. I know how to manage finances. I know how to be held accountable, and I know that the buck stops at the county commission, as it should. And I would want people to know that I am willing to stand firmly and be accountable. I'm willing to stand. I want to stand firmly with you and hold others accountable. I want to be more than just one vote of the 5-0 vote. I want to ask the questions that we need to get to the answers that we need to have. So I am here for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. John?
Good afternoon. My name is John Koenig. I'm a 20-year resident of Pahrump. My background is in manufacturing and supervision and director. I am also president of Pahrump Valley Public Transportation, which also includes VetTrans, which gives veterans a ride to any medical needs they have for free. That means we pick them up at their doorstep, take them where they have to go, wait for them, and take them back to their house. Roads are on my list also. Obviously, roads are a problem because roads cost money, and we don't have money. We're not going to have money. That's the problem. So I want to go to the federal government and try and tap into some of their money. We need $12 million for the feds. That's chicken feed. I'm going to hit the one that no one wants, or I don't want to hit, but the medical waste. I am on the RPC, and we voted to do that. I presently am waiting for our Ryan Kunze to call me back. If he ever does, no one wants to talk to me at that level anymore. He's our district attorney. I need to talk to him. I have a meeting scheduled with Mike Smith, who runs the landfill, next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, to discuss with him what their problems are, if there are any, because I don't know. And Mike has said he'll talk to me about it. So. New business is a problem for me also. It's hard to open a new business here. And what I want to do is get someone who's ready to start doing that and walk with them and sit in there, hold their hand while they go through the whole process and figure out where the bottlenecks really are.
Thank you, John. And thank you, candidates, for those opening questions, or opening statements. Now we're going to start with our first question from the audience. We are drawing the questions from your registration cards that you filled out there. Our first questioner is Susan Chiani. Susan, if you want to raise your hand, we'll run a microphone to you. Up there, Susan. And Beth, you'll be the first candidate to go ahead and answer the question after she's done.
Okay, great.
Oh, my question is actually a two-parter. It's regarding the question that's going to be on the general election ballot, number 3, which is regarding open primaries and ranked choice voting. And I'm curious as to how everyone feels about that, and if this is something they would consider putting in their campaign should you win the primary election.
Well, thank you, Susan. So, Beth, when you're ready.
Actually, I didn't understand the question. Could you repeat it, please?
Okay, I'm asking for your opinion of ranked choice voting and the open primaries, which is not my definition of open primary, but that's the definition that is in the petition. Sounds more like a California-style jungle primary, but that's going to be on the general election ballot, and I'd like to know where everybody who's up there stands on both of those issues, even though it's all one question.
Okay, thank you. I understand. You're talking about just letting anybody vote for anybody. And if you think about it, you know, it does make sense. But then if you're a Republican and you're just limited to just Republicans, but you happen to not like all the Republicans, then what do? You vote none of the above. But then you happen to like somebody that's an independent or a Democrat or just some grassroots guy that's out there, you should be able to vote for them, I think. I do not think that we should be limited to just our party. Our party we are loyal to the end of the earth. However, sometimes the people that elected to run are not the best candidates to hold the position, in our opinion. However, I do think that we should be able to vote for whomever we want, whether they are in our party or not. Thank you.
Okay, Sally, your turn. Same question.
Okay. So, open primary meaning you can cross party lines to vote.
Yeah, so basically in a ranked choice voting situation, all candidates would be
And the top
entered,
two.
and you rank them.
Right,
And
so
in
the
our
top
case, it's the
two
top
move.
5 would actually go on to
Okay.
the general, regardless of party affiliation.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the parties have a place in that they help us. They set up kind of guardrails that I'm not opposed to open primaries, although I like the idea of a primary race under a party like we currently have, and not what ends up being 5 candidates moving forward just from all of the votes, versus I kind of like party alignment, although I actually am fine with the parties maintaining some semblance of order in a primary election and not just moving up the first 5.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Sally. John, same question for you.
The open primary, I'm not in favor of that personally. I kind of like the way it is now because I don't like to meld Republican and Democrats together, even though some of them tend to move the line. But ranked choice, if there's anybody here that could ever explain that to me, this is the most, I'm not sure what the word is. I keep thinking about it whenever it comes up, and I can't figure it out. I mean, you vote, and someone wins, except they don't win because you picked the next 2 or something and add them together and then divide it. Or I am not in favor of that at all. If a person gets 51% of the vote, they win. Period. You don't go figure out who else might win. So, no, I don't go there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Dan, same question.
Well, I probably won't need 90 seconds because Proposition 3 is what you're talking about, and I have read and read and read, and I don't understand it. I mean, that thing is a mess. Obviously, it was created by the Democrats to mess us up. So I'm against it.
All right, thank you, Dan. So now we're going to our next questioner, Mr. Sam Jones. Sam, could you raise your hand and we will run a microphone to you. And Sally, you'll be the first to answer this question first, and then we'll go to John after.
My question is, we have something here in this county called code enforcement, which is unconstitutional, and it's been proven in court I want to know what each and every one of you, when you become commissioner, if you become commissioner, what you're going to do when you swore an oath to the Constitution. Are you going to allow this to happen? If so, you're violating your oath.
So I have gotten quite a bit of education about this recently. I've had someone talking with me about the fact that code enforcement in our environment is actually not accurate because of the fact that we are not incorporated and don't have the population in our county to be under the code enforcement, that all should be being handled by law enforcement. That would certainly be something I would like to have a look into. It's not something I get to decide right now as a private citizen, but it would be something as a commissioner that I would definitely be wanting to talk about and make sure that we're within the boundaries of the law for us to be able to use code enforcement in our county. I have other issues with code enforcement too, frankly. The idea that we're running a system that is complaint driven, which means that everyone is not held accountable to the same standard, that you're only held accountable if your neighbor doesn't like you. And so, that concerns me a lot, that we are going to put down a set of rules and not apply them fairly across the board.
Thank you, Sally. John, you want to go ahead, same question?
I kind of like the idea of having some of that responsibility underneath the sheriff's office. We have codes, and people are supposed to follow the codes. Code enforcement today is, let me just say, hit or miss, sort of. They go out there, if there's a complaint, they don't go looking for the problem, but if there's a complaint, they go out and then they do things that I'm not sure what they are, but their success rate is abysmal. I mean, I hear the numbers every month when we have the meeting and planning gives us the numbers, and the number of code complaints that they're working on seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and we never get anywhere, so I'm not sure what they do. So that's about it.
Thank you, John. Same question over to you, Dan.
Come on, Will. Okay. There's a lot of things. Sadly, there's so many people that are not paying attention to the Constitution at all. The Constitution is only as good as the people that are going to enforce it, and that's us. Code enforcement can be a pain. There's just no common sense there that I see. I got a culvert in front of my house. I teach concealed carry classes at the house, and people have a tendency to run over that culvert. So I bought big rocks. I put one on one side, one on the other side, so that people wouldn't run over it. Code enforcement drove around and said my rocks on the other side needed to be moved back. I said, why? He said, because you're not so many feet from the center of the road. I said, so what does it matter? He said, well, that's what the code says. I said, are you planning on doing anything out there? He said, no. I said, well, then why do I have to move the rock? Just because of your rule? Well, I could go down and buy a permit, pay money to have that rock, to leave a rock there, which is just ridiculous. Okay? Code enforcement is also breaking the law. Right, Jack? You bet. He went to court yesterday and he won. The other thing, I don't believe the Nye County Sheriff's Department has the authority to enforce code enforcement. I'm done.
Thank you, Dan. Beth?
Hello. As a United States Air Force veteran, I uphold our Constitution very, very close to my heart. I was in for 6 years, got out because I had to go to Turkey without my family for 2 years, and I just couldn't do it. So that's why I got out. Otherwise, I would have stayed in. I would have been a perfect drill sergeant, I think. Anyway, when you get to code enforcement, it sounds a whole lot like an HOA. You have these people that are sitting there on this board, and they're in the HOA, and they're like, well, we don't like the color of that, and it's not quite the right color, so we're going to go make them change it. But then they miss the other person that's down the street, 4 or 5 houses, that changed the color of their door, and they don't say anything to them. I do not think that our sheriff department, nor anybody in law enforcement for that matter, should make anybody do anything that is not an absolute law in the state of Nevada or in our Constitution. We are the people, are the ones that make the rules. We are the ones that are represented in this town. And our commissioners, if I was a commissioner, I am here to listen to what people want. I do not make any rules about anyone, so I do not believe that we should have this code enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. I want to open this question up for possible 30-second elaboration, rebuttals, anything from the panel. Just want to make sure you have that option. Okay, with none noted, we're going to move on to the next question. The next question is from Taylor, has area code 435. Taylor, are you in here? Oh, Taylor's over there. Anthony's getting you. And John, you'll be the first to answer this question.
Yeah, I have questions about the medical waste. And in particular, John, I have a question. If you voted for it and you voted yes on it, but you still have appointments and phone calls and follow-up with people like at the dump, why did you vote for it?
We're going to try to keep these questions, just so the audience is clear, that they have to go to the panel at large. So if you have a general question for the panel, that is really the only one that I'm going to make the panel answer. Panelists can feel free to elaborate if they want to on a personal question, but in a general sense, it's supposed to be guided generally to all of you. So we're going to go ahead and start with you with that in mind, John.
So the question, as I understand, is why did I vote for it, and why did the whole board vote for it? If you go back and look at the backup for the whole thing, it was extensively looked at by staff, we had the owner of the thing here, we questioned him about it. Everything seemed fine. The big problem seems to be people don't like the fact that it comes from California. And there seems to be some questions about what happens with the remaining, the char, or whatever you want to call it. And that's going to be my question for the guys at the dump, because as I understand the char, it looks like dirt and it's wet, so it doesn't blow around. So I need to talk to him about it. He wasn't available when I got him today. He was just getting through at the airport, so he wasn't available to talk to.
Thank you, John. Now the question goes to Dan Blackstone.
I don't know how anybody could vote for something they don't understand it. The other thing is, what are they doing with medical waste right now? This is a huge plant that's going to be built on 5 acres. Why are we becoming the trash can for these people? What is California doing with their medical waste now? And the thing is, if that board didn't have the common sense to research, find out what the people really, this is not a chicken coop you're putting up. You know, this is severe. Medical waste is dangerous. And it's just awful to have this brought here.
Thank you, John. Now it goes to you, Beth.
I posted about this last week on my group. I've done a lot of investigation. I read every single question that the Planning Commission asked. The questions were, do you have information on the scrubbing of the air particulars that are coming out of the plant? Has the EPA signed off on this? Because we were under EPA watch years ago for the dust, and the county commissioners entered into a memo of understanding with the EPA that they would take control of the dust going around in town. Now this char, biochar as it's called, was found in Russia, because they were doing this. They found that this biochar can actually kill the dirt, can seep into the water, and it can also blow around once it's dried and cause upper respiratory issues. So the EPA is, they have a letter that I've asked them to respond to. If they don't by Tuesday, we'll be calling them. I'm also calling the Department of Transportation to see if they're okay with all of these trucks going from Arizona, Texas, and California to Pahrump carrying all of this medical waste. This is so beyond bizarre that this group didn't take enough time when they were presented with this on April the 10th to investigate it, and they approved it on April the 10th. It's ridiculous.
That's time. Thank you, Beth. Sally?
So I have multiple issues with the medical waste and the way that it was approved. First of all, it serves as a really good reminder that we should be paying attention to every single agenda that comes before this board, so that we noticed before the 30 days had run, and now we're in quite a quandary about how we're going to get this action stopped versus having paid attention to it going into April 10th. Staff isn't who's responsible, right? Staff can do their due diligence and they can give out a report, but they're not the ones ultimately responsible for the decisions that any board makes, and that's the same for the commission as it is for the RPC or any other advisory council that we have. It's the commissioner's job, and it's the RPC member's job to stand up to that, and there are we see multiple things that are put on hold or moved to a later meeting so that we have time to investigate, we have time to make good decisions. We don't need to make decisions like that in a 2-hour meeting. The backup was extensive. I understand that. But if you still have things and questions that you need to get answered, the vote needs to be on hold until those questions can be answered. And that serves at any level of government. As I represent you, it's my duty and responsibility to make sure that I have a clear understanding. And frankly, in a case this big, could have gone to the public and said, what do we think about this before we take a vote on it? Because we're representing you when we're in that meeting. I represent you as a commissioner. If there's a time when we need to stop, it's apparently now.
Thank you, Sally. I do want to open this up to 30-second elaborations or rebuttals from the candidates. You were first there, Beth, and then Dan.
I wrote a letter to the chairman of the RPC asking them where the backup is. I can't find it online. If it's there, it's well hidden, or it's just in an area that I'm not smart enough to find. And I design websites, and I do a lot with computers, so I can't find it. I don't know where it is. The other thing is that we are asking everybody to show up at the Board of County Commissioners meeting on the 21st. We want to fill that building and let them know, as they are the oversight of our county.
Thank you. We're going to go to Dan, and then John's going to chime in after you, Dan.
I was going to say, similar to what Beth was saying, please, I encourage you all to come to the county commissioners meeting on Tuesday. County commissioners run this county. They can stop this thing. If they don't, it's going to get really ugly.
John, did you want to elaborate?
The backup, Beth, is very easy to find. There's a line right there that's highlighted. You click on that, it takes you right to the backup. It's not magic.
On what, John?
Are you done with your 30 seconds?
No. I'll go ahead and allow John, if you want to elaborate to that question from Beth. She said exactly where to find that.
Exactly where? Well, if you go to the line item, it tells you what the line item is about, and then there's a highlighted, says backup, I believe. You click on that and it takes you to backup. It's not really hard. If you want me to show you someday, just come on over.
Just come across the street and tell me.
Okay. All right. We're going to move on to our next question from the crowd. Dan Blackstone, you're going to be the first to answer this one. So it's Mickey Joe Ashley. Mickey Joe Ashley, you want to raise your hand? Oh, okay, there she is. Anthony's making his way over.
Okay, so listening to all this, I've actually changed my mind like 3 or 4 times what question I want to ask. And so because we kind of got into the biochar thing, I have done a lot of work with biochar on some special courses that I took out, yes, in California, and it was done to improve gardening and some other things, and it had some fantastic benefits, but in a very limited way. There was no dust or things like that, so I'd like to learn more about the specifics. I don't know if it's on a website somewhere where I can see, you know, I want to know what it is that they're doing. You know, like the particle size and a lot of the stuff that gets done in some of the areas they said was cleaning the air, but it's like chunks. It's not dust and it's not medical waste. So that's my question is kind of where can I get some more information? Boy, you're bossy.
Nope. Go ahead, Dan, if you want to tackle that one first.
I don't really know what they do with it or how they do with it, but my main question is why did it have to come here? There's medical waste created in every state in the country. Why don't they take care of it themselves? I don't want Pahrump to become the Pahrump dump. Okay? And I don't really know how it's done. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be nice.
Okay, Beth?
I read a lot about on biochar. The stuff that was used in gardens, from what I understand, was not biomedical waste. It was from other kind of industries. Now, medical waste, they are going to be taking it in full medical waste from the hospital or wherever and putting it in trucks and then bring it in here. Then they're going to take these trucks or these canisters and they're going to dump it into a big old vat and they're going to burn it. Now, where does the smoke go? I could not find the backup information, as I said before, that would tell what kind of emissions are going to come from this and how they're going to control them. How are they going to control the stuff drying out? The particular amount, I think, needs to be larger than 10 micro, I forget the name of it, bits. But anyway, I do not know what else they're going to do with it until I can read the backup. Now, if you want to know what I find out, go to Voices in Nye County. I'll post it right there, and I'll even include all the documents.
Thank you, Beth. Sally?
First, I would say the way to get to the backup is on the main Nye County page. If you go to nyecounty.net and you scroll down, it's called the Meeting Center. And you click on the Meeting Center, you would scroll down to the RTC. When you open that agenda, there are highlighted. I've read the backup from that. Right, so if it's item number 11, you click on number 11, and it will open up the backup for you. Yeah, so, and everyone should know that. Meeting Central will take you to the Board of County Commissioners meetings and any meeting that's held within our county advisory boards. All of those things that are open meetings are put there. You can find the minutes of those meetings, and you can find the Graticus recordings of those meetings if they're recorded. So, as far as the answer to the question, I don't know, but if you go to that spot, it would tell you about that company. You would be able to go to their website. They may have some it was extensive backup, and so I'm sure that there are websites related to that company. They're related. The other thing we haven't talked about yet is the fact that they're also taking trucks the back way out. So it's not just that they're bringing trucks in with the waste that needs to be processed, and then there are two sets of byproducts from that. The waste that will go into the dump, and then some chemical that actually are valuable or can be sold. And trucks are going to come get that piece and take it out as well. So trucks twice.
Thank you, Sally. John?
Basically, they take the waste and they put it into a container. They don't burn it. They heat it. There's no oxygen in there, so there's no flame. That's why you get char instead of other stuff. But coming out of that, as Sally said, is something similar to gasoline that they collect and they can sell that. The emissions, the smoke or whatever you get is washed so that anything that's in that doesn't go up in the air. So they use water to wash it, but they recycle the water, so it's not using a lot of water. But that's where the char comes from, and because of the water and stuff, it's all wet, so it doesn't blow around. That's my understanding, and I am not a scientist.
Thank you, John. Before we get to the elaboration portion, I know Bruce Jabor, who's our Commission 1 commissioner, is here a little bit late. Thank you for getting here, Bruce. I wanted to I know you might not have heard that exact question, but I wanted your general thoughts. This is the second question pertaining to the medical, waste situation. Just if you could elaborate with your thoughts, either answering that question directly or your general thoughts, especially being a city commissioner.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Am I on?
I think so.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Apologies for being a little late, folks. I just drove in from Tonopah, and it was having it this weekend. There's a lot of traffic, so I made it safely, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm also honored to be sitting at the same table with District 2, because District 2 borders my District 1 here in Northern Peru. So I won't ask you to repeat the question because I heard what everybody said, and I'm also not a scientist. But what I do know is with emissions, whatever the process they've explained, heating, burning, etc. Well, that's what an incinerator is. And there are spills all the time. I'm on the NSAP committee, the Nevada Site-Specific Advisory Board out of the test site, and there are spills all of the time. They're accountable for those spills, and they have to have documentation as far as the cleanup. When I was a kid in the 70s, I know that's hard for most of you to believe, we had an incinerator back in Boston, and they outlawed it. They outlawed the incinerator. The building is still there as a historical building. So I don't know everything there is to know about this, but I assure you I will look at the backup and have to make a decision.
Nice. Thank you, Bruce. Now I am opening it up to 30-second elaboration/rebuttals. Who had Dan? Go ahead.
One of my questions is, are we getting paid to have this here? Or is somebody getting paid to have this here? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense of all of a sudden pick Pahrump. Right? Does not make sense. And it's real simple to just say, no, you cannot be here. That's simple.
Any other further input on that item? Beth?
In reading all the documentation that I did read, I could not find anywhere there is a benefit to anything in Pahrump except for the realtor that sold the land, who I think also happens to be on the RPC. I think that anything that is done in Pahrump, or in fact all of Nye County, should have the bottom line be that it's a benefit to the town, the county, or the people being primary. So this thing, I don't know where the money is.
Thank you very much, Beth. So we are going to move this thing along to the next question. And Beth, you're actually going to be the first up for this answer here. Lisa Hemby. Lisa Hemby, if you would like to raise your hand, we'll run the microphone to you. Here it comes.
I would like to know, what are your plans to protect well owners of Nye County?
Say again, Lisa.
Your plan to protect well owners in Nye County.
I happen to have a well on my property. I absolutely love the water that comes out of our well. It's crystal clear, and I do understand that there is a group for well owners. I'm not part of that because I got caught up in everything else I'm doing, but I'm definitely going to look into that. But I do not think that anyone should attack our right to change how we get our water. They shouldn't tell us how we can measure the water that comes out of the ground. They shouldn't do anything. We own the land, we own the water rights, we own the water that comes out of there, and there is nobody that should be able to come into our county and tell us how we can use our water.
Thank you, Beth. Sally, same question.
Much as I would like to say that what Beth just said is true, it's actually not accurate. The water, while it is in our county, is owned by the state of Nevada. And the best thing we can do to protect our water is be sure we have a seat at the state water district, be sure that we are managing our basin well, be sure that we have accurate scientific studies that show us how much water there's coming in and how much water there is going out, so that we can to manage all pieces of growth in that. The state water engineer is who's going to ultimately make the decisions about our basin. And so we need to be sure that we are well represented with that engineer. We need to be sure that we have a place to speak with him, that we are sending more than just a mean letter up to the engineer's office, but we send contingents of people if we have to go talk about what's going on with our water, that our basin is protected by us being aware. And so much as I be sure that we're well represented with the state engineer and that we have good sound science behind
50 people per square miles, and we have 290 square miles in Pahrump. What would you do to monitor and face that growth from a water perspective and others' perspective as well? Thank you.
I certainly think that we are in a position right now where we are talking about a pivotal place for growth in our community. I think there are many of us who came here 25 years ago wanting a rural lifestyle and want to keep it that way. So I am not opposed to growth, right? We are gonna grow, but we need to manage it. We need to know that our water is secure. We need to know that our roads, our sheriff's departments, are the things that are going to need to be paid for as additional people come, our schools, those kind of things get benefit from people coming. We need to know that businesses can grow with that growth and that there not be obstruction to open a business to serve people when they come in that growth. I think that we have to be really careful right now of development agreements that have been approved by predecessors to us. And when I sit on that commission, I'm going to be looking at development agreements that were approved years ago, that we're going to have to figure out how to manage, that we, again, don't get to just take things from people. We can't tell a developer, you can build a lesser number of homes without giving them back something. So figure out what it is we need to give them back so we can negotiate to the point where we're not putting in developments that are taking more of their share or more of the resources than we have. As it is right now, we have development agreements already approved that are going to take us to our maximum population. So we have some work to do.
Thank you, Sally. Same question to you, John.
That happens to be on my to-do list because I think in 4 more years, this town is going to grow to about 70,000 people. That's a horrible number. It also trips some things that we don't want tripped. But growth is going to come. Whether we like it or not, growth is going to come. They're coming here. It needs to be done responsibly. The southern end is going to get the brunt of it. What we need to do down there is get shopping down there and stuff for them to do. We need to get them off of 160 so they don't stop killing themselves on the road, driving back and forth. They need to be able to shop down there and do things. Once you get that, their kids will be happy. There'll be things for their kids to do. The growth up in this part, on the 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, 5 acres, will happen. We just need to control it so that they don't come up here and try to take the 1 acre lots and make 4 lots out of the 1. We need to stay rural up here and urban down there. That's why I call it responsible growth.
Thank you, John. Same question now over to you, Bruce.
Thank you, sir. So I've said before that we need to control growth and not allow growth to control us. And I hope the newspaper gets it right this time. They said, oh my gosh, he wants all this growth to come into it. Well, it's not what I said, because you just heard what I said, right? So on another question that ties into this question is, we're obligated. We're obligated to these different industries and businesses that want to come to Pahrump and at least hear them out and see what their project consists of. And then we determine, of course, the first step is they go to planning. And from planning, they go to the Planning Commission. And then in the Planning Commission, they come to the BOCC. Okay, but we're at least obligated to hear them, see what they are all about, what their plan of action is, their business plan, how much money they have, because I can assure you this, other companies have come before us, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't support this, I can't support you, not because I didn't want them here, or they had a bad idea, they had great ideas, but they were running on a shoestring budget. And now us as commissioners, we're obligated to you, the people, to not let these people fail. We want to set them up for success, not failure.
Thank you, Bruce. Now, same question to you, Dan.
Growth is not a bad thing, but it has to be controlled. I don't know if you know, most of you know, but I was a land developer in the state of Oregon, and I can tell you what, Oregon did it wrong. I mean, they have what's called an urban growth boundary out there, which is a political line around the town. It says you cannot build outside of that. What they're trying to do is protect the farmland, which was a great theory, but they've crammed people together, which is terrible. And the more people you have crammed together, the more crime you're going to have. That's just a fact. Look at the big cities. But I agree with John. We are going to grow. 70,000 in 4 years doesn't sound out of line. The last thing I read a couple of days ago, Pahrump is right at 50,000 right now. I think Knight County's at 54. We're going to grow. A lot of growth is on the south side because people want to be closer to Vegas, which is good. There are subdivisions. If you want to live in a subdivision, go there. I personally do not want to live in a subdivision. I have an acre of land, and I think that we keep them north side and go an acre, and the farther out you go, it could be 2 acres or more. It's good planning. This is what it can be done to keep it.
Thank you, Dan. Beth?
We are accountable to each and every individual that lives in Knight County. My goal is to put a moratorium stop on all current development and things that are coming up in the future. Then we need to do an in-depth study to find out how much water we have. Once we determine how much water there is available, even though some people say we have enough, we don't know actually for sure. Once we have that, then we can go back and say, okay, let's go ahead and do some building. But I don't want to see these developments. I was in Vegas in '82 when it was like Pahrump. I loved it. There were horses. Everything was in Vegas that was here. I do not want Pahrump to go the way of Vegas. Look at the crime. All of the stuff that's going on, the developments, the houses have 0 lot lines. We don't want that here. I would like to see us put a hold on it, stop putting in fast food restaurants, look at stuff that actually benefits the residents of this town and county, and then move forward and stop just allowing things that really don't benefit us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. And for the sake of not cutting into your closing statements of 90 seconds apiece, we're going to move right to that portion because we're kind of getting behind the program. So I'm going to start and ask Mr. Koenig if you would just go ahead and give your 90-second closing statement.
I guess what I'd like to say is there are several problems in my county right now. One I want to address immediately is the financial problems, or at least to determine if there is a financial problem. Some people say there is, some people say there isn't. So we can't do anything without money. And it looks to me like, looking at the budget, there's not much room in there to move around. So if something happens, we're in trouble. But after that, again, I'm going to work with new business to help them. I need to work with responsible growth. I'm dealing with several people in town that do real estate, and they're telling me that there are people coming here with buckets of money that want to do things in this town. They need to be controlled. And that's where my responsible growth comes in. We have to be very careful that they don't come up here and want to subdivide up here or keep the creep from the southern part creeping up here. I'm speaking for District 2 because that's where I am, and I want that to stay rural. So that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you, sir. Now we're going to go to Bruce, closing statement.
Thank you, sir. So we are voted in by our district, our respective districts, but we're county commissioners, so we speak for all of you, and we hear all of you, we listen to all of you. I didn't get to give you my opening statement. I'm going to tell you that I was at a banquet and an attorney came up to me. And this is no reflection on any of the candidates. This is my personal and my professional. And he said, Commissioner Jabbour, I understand you don't accept anybody's contribution. And I said, that is correct. I'm self-funded. But I graciously thank everybody that wants to offer, thinks about it, sends me a letter, whatever. I send it back, voided check, okay? And he said, as he scratched his head, "Man, you're of no use to me. And you're of no use to my clients." And I said, "And that's exactly why I don't accept your contribution or anybody else's." Okay? So that's why I'm running again. I'm seeking the support. I understand that you're here for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 because we all work together. We all work together. My district is almost everything from north of Bella Vista, except for that block of a mile on 160 to, I think it's Linda? Simpkins, okay. But the rest of the county is District 1. And by the way, we have plenty of room for you to come to live in a beautiful area where there's not so much traffic, etc. So we welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Mr. Blackstone.
Bruce, I would love to live up there, but I can't be late for meetings. If I am elected commissioner, I will be a commissioner for all of the residents within Nye County, period. It doesn't matter where you live. And I'm going to reiterate again, we got to stop that medical waste coming in. That's all.
Thank you, Dan. Beth?
I'm running to support everyone within that county. District 2, we're rural out there. I have the horses and the mules going up and down my street. They knock over my mailbox. They harass my dogs, which is really funny because they're pit bulls. But the reason that I'm here is I'm asking for your vote for District 2. I want to be able to answer your questions, do the research, put all the information out there. I want to make it so that everybody knows about the different agendas that are going for all of the different meetings. I think there's like 45 different meetings that get done. We're a big county. I want to support Beatty. I want to support Tonopah, who actually wants solar panels. And I think we need to talk to the commission about just removing them from the moratorium. I want to represent you. I want to be your voice. I want to be angry with you. I want to be happy with you. And I want to be sad with you. But most of all, I want everybody to be healthy.
Thank you, Beth. Now, Sally.
So I'm concerned to hear that the they and those people when we think about North and South Division, because Bruce is right. As an elected commissioner, even through District 2, I represent the entire county, and it concerns me when we start talking about they and them and start division right away. I'm happy to have District 2 be a more rural environment, uncertain, but it does not pit me against someone else in our county. And so I want to be clear that we're not creating division that we don't need. I certainly do agree that the commissioners are the ultimate fiscal oversight. It's our job to make sure that the management of our funds is being done appropriately and well. I have run nonprofits. I will tell you, you can't just willy-nilly move things around from fund to fund, line item to line item. We have to manage that well. We have to see that beyond monthly. This should not just be a monthly report. We're managing a large budget with multiple departments, and it ends at the county commission seat. We are who has to stand up and be responsible for that. Not staff, but us as county commissioners. And so that fiscal oversight, the idea that we can't do anything without money, but we need to account for what we have. We need to be sure it is well spent. We need to be sure that we're conservative in our estimates about proceeds coming in, and we need to be secure in the line items going to what they're supposed to go to. And if we're talking about road money, we need to know it's road money and others.
Thank you very much, Sally. And thank you, panel, for that spirited and respectful discussion. And I want to thank you for your respectful participation, audience. You guys did a great job. Those were great questions. This is why we do this. Something that I wouldn't have thought of. Some of these questions. Great job. And that was a lot of fun. Audience, on behalf of myself, I want everybody in here to give our panel a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. District 2 candidates and Bruce Jabor, thank you so much. Yeah, and feel free when you come down, just be careful with the steps, and please join us. Feel free to ask questions of your own as well.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, from your left to right on stage, we have State Assembly 36's incumbent Assemblyman Gregory Hafen II. Nevada State Assemblyman representing District 33, Bert Gurr. In Nevada State Senate District 19, candidates William Bill Hochstetler and Chelsea Fisher. I heard John Ellison's intention is still to hopefully be here. I haven't heard otherwise. If he does come a little bit late, we're going to jump him right into the panel. But out of respect for time, we're going to kind of get things going here. So again, it's the same format as the first panel, everybody. Each candidate will give an opening statement of up to 2 minutes before we get down to the town hall questions. And if I could get somebody to bring those town hall questions up to me when you can, that'd be great. So we're going to start with each candidate to the audience's left again, and then work our way across the stage here. We'll have you all take turns being asked questions first, so it will be fair. We ask that each of you, if necessary, if you hear feedback, try muting your microphones if you hear feedback and audio problems. So we're going to start again, like I said, from the audience's left and move sideways. We're going to start with you, Assemblyman Gregory Hafen.
Thank you, Mr. Sadler. And I want to take a moment. I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here. I want to thank Chelsea, Bill, Bert for coming here, and most importantly, for not falling up the stairs like our current president. I'm very proud of you guys.
Just because I'm old? What?
And so all jokes aside, I have to make a comment of everyone sitting here. Every single one of them here is my friend, my colleague, neighbor, and it is an honor to be here with them. And so a little bit about myself. First and foremost, I'm a father to a wonderful son. I'm a fifth generation Nevadan, born and raised down here in southern Nevada. My son is now sixth generation. My roots go deep. I'm running for my fourth term in the state assembly because I love this community. I look in this audience and I see so many friends that I spent so much time with, and just to be able to go to Carson City and serve you and fight for our rights is an absolute honor. I did want to comment that I was recently awarded the #1 conservative by two separate organizations. One, the Nevada Policy Institute. They gave me a 99.1% rating and ranked me the #1 conservative assemblyman. And by, I believe everybody knows, the CPAC Foundation was ranked the #1 conservative in the entire state by CPAC.
Thank you, Greg. Bert?
That's a pretty hard act to follow. Yeah, I'm a freshman. I'm just serving the end of my first term in the legislature. I have the distinct honor of being the oldest freshman ever elected to the state assembly. And being that, I got to follow Greg around a lot and listen to him and learn from him. And he got a lot of legislation done this last session. Being a freshman, you're lucky if you can get a bill even heard. And I think I got 3 heard, and 1 actually passed. So I think I did fine. I've been in Nevada since 1949. I'll tell you I wasn't born here, but I've been in Nevada since then. I won't tell you, well, I was 18 months old when I got to Nevada. So I'm almost a native, almost. But I live in Elko, well, actually in Spring Creek, just south of town. And I've been there since, like I say, 49. Went through the Elko school systems. They were the best school systems in the state of Nevada. Loved every second of it. And spent 45 years now as a real estate broker in the Elko area. And my wife and I have to count. Between us, we have 4 kids. We have 12, 13 grandkids. And 4 3/4 great-grandkids. So we're pretty committed to the state of Nevada. I've been that way all my life. Loved it. Grew up doing everything I could do in Elko. I've been a hunter. I've been a guide. I've been a fisherman. I've surveyed across Nevada. I love this state, and I'm here to support and help the people who have been working so hard so that we can keep this state the the way it is. We don't need California and Nevada.
Thank you very much, Bert. Before we go on to Mr. Hoxton, just can we keep some of the sound down in the back? It's kind of getting into the gallery here. If you could just, out of respect for the candidates, and mostly out of respect for the folks in the audience, this is why we do this. This is why the candidates come out. So let's really, I want to hear what they have to say, and I'm sure you do too. So now we're going to go to Mr. Hochstadler for your 2-minute opening.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. It's very important that we actually exercise our rights to vote. The fact is we have a primary that is absent of a presidential candidate, so the voter turnout might not be as high as we expected. So every vote counts. We want to make sure we make the right decisions for our county, our district, and our state. A lot at stake in this particular situation. Everybody knows me as Bill Hochstadler. I've been here for a few years, and I'm bringing opportunities to Nye County to elevate all of us. To say a rising tide raises all ships. And I want to make sure that the opportunities that we have before us to succeed in this county and in this district now, as I'm trying to win the state race for Senate District 19, is a very important mission for me. The reason I'm running is I met with our Attorney General, Sadler Anthony. He's also President of the Senate. We talked about the hard road of politics, and it's a blood sport. And I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and he tried to discourage me from getting into it, saying I wouldn't be satisfied with the fact that we have a 7-13 Senate, and things might not go as we expect. We might not get as many things accomplished as we want to. But that's a challenge that I'm willing to take. I think I'm the right guy at the right time to actually do the things that are necessary to make sure that we work with the other side of the aisle and get things accomplished. We sent 75 bills to the governor to be vetoed, basically, and thank God we have a Republican governor and we have that veto power. We may not have it forever, but what we do need to do is to figure out a way to get things accomplished with the other side and make sure that we actually can pass the bills that are necessary for the state to succeed. I think I have the negotiation skills to do so. I'm not going to sit here and give you my resume. We'll do that later, or you can find it on my website. Again, I'm glad to be here to help represent Nye County. I'm looking forward to your vote, and I certainly hope that we can succeed in this district, District 19. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Chelsea Fisher.
Hi, everyone. Chelsea Fisher. Thank you all for being here tonight. I moved here in January of 21. I was born and raised in Portland, and that's not something that's easy for me to admit because most of you in this room have seen what's happened in Oregon and the downfall of Oregon. And I moved to Pahrump because it's where I wanted to raise my kids, the values, the lifestyle. And everyone said, well, why do you want to live there? It's all old people. I said, well, that's the point. I don't want to raise my kids around my generation. So take that with a grain of salt, but I wanted to thank everybody for making this my home, because the home that I grew up in, I don't recognize anymore. And I always think that we're excited to go back and visit family, and I cannot wait to get back here. Within a year of being here, I was encouraged to run for our school board. I saw a lot of changes that I did not support. And being born and raised in Portland, that's one of the assets I have, is that I know what's coming for us. And I know how to fight against it, how to stop it, and how to use logic in a lot of these issues that we're having right now. I'm very concerned with some of the things that I've seen. Some of you know I'm kind of the loud one, and I don't let people bully me, and I don't back down off my own principles and morals. And I am honestly, personally embarrassed that with veto power, there were a few important bills that did not get vetoed, including SB 163, which was a child transgender bill. And there's a lot of facts behind that. I don't support permanently irreversible harm to children who might be suffering from dissociative states and other mental health issues. There's a lot of issues that I'm happy to work on outside of just our school, and I believe I'm the only candidate with a solid plan to help solve our schools.
Thank you, Chelsea. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first question from the audience. And again, we have drawn Tim Bohannon. Tim, you have the first question. And Assemblyman Hafen, Greg, you'll have the answer first on this one.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Hi, Tim Bohannon. As you address the financial condition of the state, what changes, if any, would you make?
So, Tim, if I heard your question correct, sorry, you're cutting in that. You want to know the financial condition of the state? So you're asking a $50 billion question right now. I appreciate the question. I actually have a list here on my phone of things that I think we should be cutting, I think are wasteful spending. Right now, a lot of people aren't talking about this, but, well, let's be honest. Every single person in this room goes to the grocery store and the gas station and feels the pain at the pump and at the register. The state's about to hit that. We're running out of what I call the Biden bucks that will just print it out of nowhere, and the bill's going to come due. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly when that's going to be, whether that's the end of this year in December or if it's going to be in 2026. But what I am doing, and what I'm doing currently, is I'm going to the interim committees and I'm listening to these presentations where these agencies are saying they're spending $100 million, and what are they producing? They're producing, well, we're going to help one person get a job at $15 an hour. And I'm like, you spend $100 million to get one person a job at $15 an hour? Yeah, we need to cut that program, because that is absolutely wasteful spending. We don't need to be, you can go down to Starbucks, put in your application, and they'll give you $19 an hour plus benefits. So what are we doing spending $100 million for one person to get a $15 per hour job? And so things like that I'm catching at the interim committee level, I'm taking notes, and I know the bills are coming due. And so when we go to next legislative session, we are going to have to deal with what we call the fiscal cliff. And I am getting prepared now in the interim committees so that, I'm supposed to stop it, I'm not going to, sorry. I'm getting prepared now because our state depends on it.
Thank you, Greg. Bert?
I'll abdicate my time to the gentleman on my right. Isn't that what they do in Congress?
You could.
Yeah. If
Retroactive.
It keeps going. Being a freshman, I'm not as privy to a lot of that stuff as an old timer like Greg is. But listening to the interim committees and serving on a couple of them, it's amazing. We sat through 3 weeks last year, for sure 3 weeks, of government agencies coming to us and saying how broke they were, how nobody could go to work, and they need to do this and this and this. And the Democrats listened to it way more than we did and supported a whole lot of that. And they came up with spending bills that you would not believe. And the 14 of us, as a general statement, opposed them all. And now we're sitting here watching, like Greg says, that fiscal cliff's coming. There's no funding in the background unless we raise taxes, and I don't want to do that. So we got to be really careful, and it takes all of you watching what's going on there, because we can't see everything that happens in that building every day. None of us can, no matter what anybody says. So we need your support to tell us which programs you see that are falling on their face, and we can try and stop them. That's, and Greg's got a good handle on it. Was there 160 million spent last week? Greg at IFC? Something like that. It's a bunch of money still going out, and we're not even in session. So you got to watch that. You got to watch the regulators and what they come up with. So, yeah, just go back there and we'll fight like hell to keep them under control. But the state has kind of got, the Biden bucks fever, and hopefully it'll go away. But we won't be able to keep feeding it, that's for sure.
Thank you, Bert. Bill?
Yes, I'm a fiscal conservative, and I actually think that we need to do a terrific job, like Greg has suggested, and Bert, that we watch what's going on in our legislature and understand the dynamics of who's spending the money, who's wasting the money, and where the money's coming from in the first place. One of the things that I've tried to do, and I'm continuing to do that, if you read the front page of today's paper, there's a story on there where I'm interviewed, and we're talking about opportunities for Nye County. Safe, sustainable growth of businesses in this county that don't pollute, don't cause toxins, and provide superior jobs. I spent a lot of time putting together a package for the Governor's Office of Economic Development the Monday before Thanksgiving of last year, and got that approved for a tax abatement. That tax abatement is not money wasted. That money is coming into this county because more prosperous counties like Washoe and Clark get a bulk of the money and attention. We need our rural counties to succeed. Nye County's got the highest unemployment and the most critical need for these good-paying jobs. And if you read the newspaper article today, you'll see that there's $26 an hour coming to the lowest skill level at that particular facility up north by the airport. I just want to say that we can do a better job of building businesses that don't hurt the environment and help our economy and give us more opportunities to keep our streets safer and to actually grow responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Chelsea?
One of my opinions of one of the biggest issues with a lot of our jobs here, not just in Nevada, but across the U.S., is that we keep getting told that it's a free market and they can't force employers to pay us a certain wage or force us to pay for health care. And they turn around and give them tax credits. And then we turn around and pay into the billions of dollars of Medicaid for most of our residents in this state. It's in the billions. I think we need to put pressure back on some of these employers. I think they need to be giving a livable wage. And I don't mean force it. That's up to them. But they shouldn't be getting tax breaks when they're not even taking care of their own employees. That's just my opinion. It's also ruining small businesses. They can't compete, and they definitely can't compete giving their employees health care benefits when we're only catering to corporations. I also have a big issue with a lot of the accountability and transparency that we're not getting, and a lot of our tax money is being spent to nonprofits, as you may know, and a lot of our politicians in the state are not disclosing that and allotting money to their nonprofits or their friends' nonprofits. And I don't know about you, but if I want to give money to a nonprofit, I can do that on my own. I never voted to allow a state in any state to do that, and I think there needs to be accountability and transparency.
Thank you, Chelsea. I'm going to open this up for a period of any 30-second elaboration or rebuttal to anything said there. Bill, give you 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard Chelsea's answer correctly, but the situation with taxes and the abatements don't really affect us personally in a way that is adverse. If you think about the fact that somebody can come to Nye County or live in Nye County, anybody in this room could get a job at this particular facility, make $26 an hour to sweep the floor or tape a box. You're actually lifting the economy where people don't have to work a second job to make ends meet. Their spouse might not have to work, and they can spend more money on groceries and gas and all the things that we need to do to have a living wage in this county. And that spending actually helps other businesses.
Thank you very much, Bill. Anybody else want to add to that? Okay, well, we're going to move on to the next question. Esther May Egan. Esther, you in here? Oh, Esther has a question. Anthony, that row next to you. And Bert, you're going to go first on this one.
I would like to ask the question. We just came through the COVID pandemic. What I'm reading now is we're going to have the bluebird or bird flu pandemic. I would like to ask the question, and I think this is just a no or yes answer. Will you be in favor of locking down churches, stores, like we did with the last pandemic?
I'm so glad I get that first. The answer is not only no, but hell no. That's it.
All right. Yep. Go to Bill.
Yes, my answer is also no. I think that our individual liberties and freedoms and our religious freedoms should not be trampled on by anybody, state, local, or otherwise, federal especially. We need to make sure that we can practice our religions. Our religions are freedoms that are the basis of our Constitution and why we exist as a country today the way that we do.
Thank you, Bill. Chelsea, when you're ready.
I think anybody in this room that knows me know it's an absolute no for me. As someone with immune deficiency myself, I am nobody's scapegoat. I don't need you to go get an experimental vaccine in your arm to keep me safe. I know how to keep myself safe. I have my own doctors. And that's up to you, how you choose to take care of yourself. But it's not up to you to police everybody around you. I will never support a mandate again. Me and my children are all vaccine injured, actually, from regular vaccines. And I would never support them again. I was attacked in a school board meeting in Clark County during the pandemic for calling out a doctor who was lying, committing malpractice, and putting the public's health at risk. So even though I could have stayed and hid at my house with my exemptions, I stood up and fought for other people because I know the risk of being vaccine injured, and I will never stand for something like that again. I wasn't silent then, and I won't be silent now.
Thank you, Chelsea. Greg.
No, so absolutely no. Not only absolutely no, I co-sponsored, and I believe Bert was one of the co-sponsors, on legislation to limit Governor Sisolak's powers to continue to do this. Do you think we could get a hearing on that? No. Do you think Sisolak was in office? Would he want to do that again with this election coming up? Absolutely. But luckily, we got rid of his ass, didn't we?
Okay. Probably not, but anybody want to chime in for 30 seconds on that?
Just real quick, I
Okay.
thought it was a yes or no question, so I just said no. But the government needs to stay out of our healthcare stuff. Leave us alone. Let us do what we need to do. Stay the hell out of our healthcare problems. Let us fix them.
Thank you, Bert. All right, no more change of hearts. It's all a no on that one, right? All right, next question. Here we go. Leah Aldridge.
Thank you.
Oh, and Bill. Bill, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Bill,
I
Bill,
guess
you're
I can
first.
adjust the microphone. Solar farms. Don't want them. Don't need them. Here's the thing. Get paid lots of money to put them in. How do you guys stand on them? Put them in Nye County. Don't want them here. Everything that flies above them, crawls below them, gets dead. Okay? I'm an animal advocate. Don't like it. Don't want to see it here. Same thing with the lithium farms, but I'll just stop right there. Thank you.
So the question is about solar farms. Okay. So I do know and recognize that there's a place for solar energy in this country and even in the state. However, we need to make sure that we don't get trampled on by out-of-state regulations or needs of other states to put solar farms on our land here in Nevada. I need to make sure that we don't have to see it every day. I don't like driving down the 160 and seeing things happen. And there's other places in the state that you go. If you go out to 15 and if you're going over to California border, there are massive solar farms out there on this side that weren't there just a few years ago. And so I call it eye pollution. I think we have to be a visually clean state. I think we need to have the ability to not have to look at that every day. Maybe they could put it back on the California side. I don't know why they're not doing it, but to the degree that it helps our economy, it helps our energy balance, there is a place for solar. But I certainly don't want to look at it every day. And I don't want to waste a lot of water maintaining it. We have to figure out a better way.
Thank you, Bill. Chelsea.
I've spoken against the solar farms previously at the Prompt Nugget when they had a town hall with BLM. I'm very concerned with our government as a whole in Nye County and the advocacy of the BLM lands and the backdoor deals that might be occurring behind our backs for solar farms. In my opinion, a lot of this is just a way for people to make new money because oil money is tapped out. And I also, being literally raised by liberals in school in Portland, I don't know where the common sense went out the window to fix the environment by planting more trees. If you look at the drought in the Rockies, it's caused by an invasive beetle. I think that our priorities are in the wrong spot and we're doing the wrong things. I don't think that solar farms are a good long-term solution. That's been proven. In that meeting, they also discussed all of the pesticides that they use. And the BLM lady asked the public comment to put that online. And I couldn't help it. I blurted out, well, I'm pretty sure Monsanto already has the commercials for all the cancer that Roundup causes. So they've already done the work for you. I don't support them. It raises the overall temperature. It moves the wildlife around, and it will obviously decrease your home value. But most concerning is it will raise the overall temperature. So I do not support it. I will never support it in our yards. I think it's up to every county where they want it, and I don't think they should especially be here using our resources and water if it's not even benefiting us.
Thank you, Chelsea. Greg Hapin, up to you.
I got 90 seconds to answer a 20-minute answer. Very complicated question because my colleagues touched on a little bit here and a little bit there what they think is going on. I'm gonna hit some numbers. So, Bill, you wanted to know why they're not building in California? Because California has said we don't want this crap in our desert destroying our environment, and that's why they're not allowing it to be built there. And so they're coming to Nevada to build it here.
And they don't have the water.
So that's correction number one. Correction number two. 50% of all of the solar power that is being generated in this state is leaving this state. Okay, 50%. Half of it. I just got those numbers last week from one of the solar groups because I questioned them on where this is going and why it's going there. So what am I doing about it? So last legislative session, I dug a little bit deeper into it. And did you know, and Bill was talking about GOED and the tax abatements and things of that nature, and how great they are. And so sorry, Bill, this is somewhere we're going to differ. The solar companies are now getting tax abatements on these projects to where they're not paying property tax, they're not paying sales tax. They are paying the school portion, it's 2.5%. And so I went and investigated, what are other states doing? Other states doing these kinds of things? Because I'm being told I'm a job killer, right? I don't want to kill jobs. I love jobs. I love good paying jobs. I want everybody to have a good paying job. You heard me earlier. I go, gonna finish real quick. I go, no other state is doing this. Why are you and I paying taxes on our homes, on our property, but these guys getting tax abatements to sell the power to California? Answer me that question.
All right.
Sorry, Matt.
That's okay. Bert.
Again, I'd advocate to let him keep talking because it's always interesting and always intriguing and it keeps me informed. I didn't have anything to do with the solar stuff last session, but I drive down the highway a lot in this district. I mean, 512 miles one way. I see these solar farms and I see what goes on around them and underneath them and above them, and you just can't maintain it. And it's really interesting that the conservation groups support solar farms. They have to walk both sides of this line on solar and wind energy now, and you don't know where they're going to go. When these cells fail, and they will eventually, what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do with the solar panels that have melted down and they're gone now? What are you going to do with the windmills? What are you going to do with the 30 million yards of concrete underneath one of those, or 30,000 yards of concrete underneath one of those big wind towers? You know, there's an awful lot that needs to be taken care of out there, and as long as the federal government keeps spending tons and tons of money and giving everybody, or these solar companies and wind farms money, it's going to continue. So in my estimation of bad, they're going to have to prove to me that they work and that they're efficient, and they've got to stop destroying the environment. And I think they're really having a major impact on the heat index in this area, especially with all those solar cells sitting out there.
Thank you, Bert. Opening it up for some 30-second elaborations. Bill, you're up for that.
Yeah, I just want to draw a difference between the tax abatements that the solar farms are getting and the solar farms that industry in Nye County would get. Keep in mind that the export of the product that is produced in Nye County goes to other states for sale, which means the money comes back to Nevada. We're not losing energy to other states. We're actually providing a product that's a net revenue back to the state of Nevada. So, for example, if I sell you a ham sandwich for $4.99 and you sell me a peanut butter sandwich for $4.99, we haven't accomplished a lot because we both live in Nevada. This is money coming in from other states that are going to benefit the state.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else on a 30-second response?
I guess I'll just add that I'm still really confused with the solar farms because they use so much water to run them, and they keep saying that we're in a drought, so I'm not sure which one it is, but the math ain't mathin'. And I don't know about everybody else here, but I did not ever vote to have silver iodide rained on me and my children.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next audience questioner. And we have another from last round, Susan Ciani. You're up next. Susan, over here. I think Melissa might have you.
My question is regarding coming in the general election in November. Is a question on the ballot, number 3, about open primaries and ranked choice voting. And this would actually, if it passes, would affect the way that your positions would be voted for in future years. I am wondering what everybody thinks about Open primaries is defined in the petition, and ranked choice voting.
Chelsea, you're going to be the first respondent to that.
So for the first portion of that, I don't really personally have an issue with opening up the primaries, because most people, if they want to sway the votes, they'll just go switch their party and then switch back before the general anyway. However, the ranked choice voting, I do not support. They can't even count as is with one winner. So I don't know why anybody would think that they can figure out one winner from multiple votes. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Chelsea. Over to you, Greg.
Thanks, Matt. And so it's one ballot question. It's question number 3, and I'm going to give you the exact same answer that I gave the advocates when they walked into my office and tried to promote it. I go, we have an election system right now that for a week after the election, we still don't know the results. We cannot count ballots in a week. We are if it wasn't for Arizona, we would be the laughingstock of the entire nation because we can't count ballots. And now you want to go and add math to this equation? You're out of your flipping mind. Until we fix counting ballots in this state in a timely manner and having election results on election night, take your question 3 and shove it where the sun don't shine.
Now to you, Bert.
In the interest of time, ditto.
All right, let's do you, Bill.
Not to be as dramatic as Greg, I'm not the firebrand that Greg is, but I will tell you that I disagree with the measure. We need to be able to vote Republicans into our primaries that have ideals that we represent, that we think are important. So to open the primary up, I think is going to corrupt the system, and you're going to have absolute chaos. And as far as the ranked choice piece, you're right. The math, I mean, it's complicated. And we don't need to complicate our elections any further than they've already been complicated. So I'd say no.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody wanted to elaborate a few seconds on that? Back to you, Bert.
I seem to like the one-word answers to questions, but we went through that whole thing, and believe me, my wife is a mathematician like you would not believe. And when we got done, I'm going, huh? And she still hasn't figured it all the way out for me either. And it truly doesn't mean, because you can take votes from this candidate and give them to that candidate, and from this candidate and give it to, so the person who won could end up losing the whole thing because of the way it goes down. And there's not many people who understand how that works, I don't believe, personally. So really, it's just a BS program. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Bert. All right, we're going to move on to one more audience question here as we keep it going here. Craig Gustafson. Craig, are you in here? All right. We might circle back. Let's see here. All right. So Doug Knowles. Doug, did you want to ask a question to this panel for the state legislators?
Yeah, all I got to say is I moved from California for a reason, and they did it, and look what happened to them.
All right, so we're going to put a question mark there, but it doesn't go over well. Let me see. All right, we'll go back to Sam Jones. Did we lose it?
No. I'll just talk louder. How's
there you
that?
go.
Testing.
Okay, it's working now. With all the thing that's going on at our southern border, all these immigrants, millions and millions of them coming in, what the hell are you guys going to do up there about Pahrump and Nye County, all the illegal immigrants that are coming in here, that are in here, in this county? Look at the dairy.
Okay, Greg, you're the first to answer this one.
Hey, Sam. Elect President Trump.
All right, it's you, Bert.
I can't top that. Elect President Trump.
Yes, elect President Trump, and let's secure our borders, and let's make sure that we keep Nevada safe from anything that would harm us.
Chelsea.
I don't think a lot of us in this room need to be asked to vote for President Trump. Am I right? Something that I learned recently was that some of the issues on our state and federal level is that if you are considered unhoused, meaning you are not on a mortgage or a rental agreement, that you can basically be illegal and you'll be considered unhoused, and you can enroll your children in our schools by law, and they also are not required to show vaccines if they fit in that status. Yet all of our children are mandated to have them. There's a lot of double standards that I don't agree with that we need to fix. And America first should be our priority. We're sending billions and billions to Ukraine and these other countries and not securing our own border when terrorists are coming over. As a veteran myself who's had friends come home draped in a flag, what happened in Afghanistan is terrible, and we're allowing them to come over our border. And what's going on in America is just a slap in the face to every veteran that's ever served. What?
Thank you, Chelsea. I just want to open up for any possible rebuttals or elaborations, or if you think anybody thinks that there is something possible at the legislative level to substantively advance, border security.
I think a lot of it's at the federal level, so there's not a ton we can do besides keep the pressure on and not be quiet about it. We can pass, hopefully, some state laws that maybe can limit some of the powers and be more like Texas and give Biden the middle finger, just like they have. Maybe we just need some barbed wire.
Anyone else chime? We good? Okay. So we're going to move on to one more question here. Bert, you're going to be the first respondent to this one. Lisa Hemby again. Lisa, you raise your hand. Do you need Anthony to run?
Testing, here you go.
What are your plans to protect well owners of Nye County?
The question was, what are your plans to protect well owners in Nye County?
That's a question that's being kicked around with the water resources people, with state engineers working hard on it. There's a whole lot of stuff going on through the Natural Resources Committee, Interim Committee. We'll see what comes out, but they're doing a lot of studies to try and prevent the overpumping, over-appropriating of water in every county, not just Nye. They're pulling, Eureka County has formed their own water district, I guess it is, and they have voluntarily started to drop permits. They're also getting, the state put up, $20 million to buy water rights? So they're trying to protect the water basins themselves. In particular county, without being involved in it down here with the water district, I can't elaborate more than that. But I know that the state's working hard so that we don't end up with the inability to pump our own individual wells. The well levels in a lot of areas are dropping. I know around Elko and places that people have wells, they've had to go in and deepen the wells from like 300 feet to 400 feet because the water levels are dropping. So there's definitely some issues statewide, not just in Nye County, but everywhere. And I think your county commissioners, from what I heard earlier in the earlier sessions, are working hard to help prevent all of that problem. But that's the best answer I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. To you, Bill.
I believe that well owners have a right to have their wells and to use the water as they see appropriate within reasonable limits. I need to make sure that everybody has access to well water. I grew up on well water on a farm, and I know the importance of that well to the individual owners. And to see the well have to be dug deeper because of the falling levels, I think is a combination of environmental factors and factors that we can control, the overgrowth of populations that take from the aquifer. All of those things have to be balanced. And I think that we need to do a better job of making sure that we understand the problems that we're going to have in the future with the growth that we anticipate. Whether we like it or not, there are more people being added to this earth and being added to Nevada and being added to Nye County. It's a fact of life. The earth goes on and we have more people depleting resources that we hold precious. So we have to make sure that we're regulating that in a way that protects both the rights of the well owners and everybody else in the community. There's a balance that needs to be done. Again, wells are important. Water is life. And I first want to make sure that we protect our well owners to make sure that they don't have to tap into city water.
Thank you, Bill. Chelsea.
Let me be politically correct.
Why?
Why should the government be allowed to meter your well? And if it was about wasteful water, then why do we have a use it or lose it for people that have water rights? We promote wasteful water usage. So I personally call bullshit that it's to make sure that we're not using enough water. Sorry. I also, this is America. Freed men don't ask permission. They're not putting in our wells. They're not fixing them if they crack. So why in the hell should they get to meter our wells? Absolutely not. And sorry, you don't want to drink city water. I'm from Oregon, and even I did not drink the water in Oregon. Unless you like chlorine.
Thank you. Okay, Greg, chime in.
Yeah, Chelsea, did you like literally steal my notes over there or what? I guess I shouldn't have told her to be politically incorrect. So whenever, you know the old saying, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. And any time that there is a legislative bill that talks about water, it scares me to death. Because all I see, as Chelsea said, the government stepping in, and what are they trying to actually accomplish? My theory is if you've got a domestic well, this government should stay the hell away from you and leave you alone. You want that well, you paid to put that well in. And as legislators, our job is to ensure that you have the right to continue to use the well just like you've been doing for decades. And so I appreciate Bert sitting on natural resources because I'd probably get up and start throwing stuff at people when they start bringing up these water bills. But it scares me to death. And so I spend hours and work with Bert late at night to go through the bills and figure out exactly what's really going on, because they may show you something over here, but it's really what's over here that's going on that you have to be able to watch. And that's where it becomes a team effort. And the four of us, we have to be able to dive down into the deep and work late hours to analyze the bills to figure out exactly what it is that's going on. And if I had more time, I could tell you more horror stories, but trust me, we'd be here all night.
Thank you, Greg. Anybody want a quick 30-second elaboration? So we'll go Bill and then we'll go Bert.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to elaborate just a second. I didn't get any applause on my answer. I want to make sure there's no confusion. I don't believe that our well owners should be trampled on upon regulations. What I'm saying is that we need to control growth so that we don't deplete our aquifer and make our well owners have to go deeper for water. I need to make sure that we respect our water rights and make sure that our well owners are protected. I grew up on well water, like I said, and I want to make sure that everybody's rights are protected and not overgrow our community to deplete our wells.
Thank you. Bert?
I was speaking more about irrigation wells. Your private individual wells on your property shouldn't have a major issue, but I do know people who have had to get their wells re-drilled, and I think everybody in this building probably has seen somebody who's had to do that. We have issues in the northeastern part of the state called dewatering of the mines that they're trying to say is causing a whole lot of depletion in the water aquifers. So we're watching all that too, but I think individual wells don't have a major impact, but I'll have to stop now.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Bert. Anybody else want to elaborate, or you wanted me to give you another 30 seconds to finish your thought there, Bert? I'm okay with that too.
Well, I think I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Matt. You know, when you look at the state of Nevada and see how many straws are in the ground and how many wells are actually pumping, it gets a little disconcerting when you see that when we're the driest state in the union. So some kind of water management plan is appropriate for this state, and it has to be enacted so that nobody gets hurt. And for unused water rights, if people don't use them, I don't know whether they ought to lose them or not, but if they're not going to use them, then put it back in the pool so that we can maintain water levels. You know, that's what that buyback program is. If they're not using them, put them back. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Anyone else? Okay, so we're going to move on to the next audience question. We have Walt Coover, if I'm pronouncing your last name right, Walt. Walt, if you're out there, if you want to raise your hand. Okay, we'll move it on. Gwen Doyle. Gwen, are you in? Are you good? Was that the wrong one? I can put another one. I'll put the other one for 3. Okay. I'm going to use some moderator discretion here. Katrine, I wanted to go ahead and allow you to ask your question. Okay, so if you can bring a microphone to Katrine here.
Testing. I'm very concerned about the migrants, and Biden has just passed a law, or passed an executive order, let's put it that way, that they can vote. They can register to vote, and he has registered thousands already to vote. How do we prevent them from being counted?
Okay, so Bill, you could weigh in on that first.
Yes, on the prevention part, we have to keep in mind that citizens vote, not residents. And there's a difference in how they turn this into a situation where anybody that crosses our borders and commits a crime to get here has allowed to vote in the beginning. It boggles my mind. And the only thing that we can do is to replace from the top and put President Trump back in office to reverse the atrocities that have been caused by the Biden administration in regard to that issue, voting. It's a very simple answer.
Thank you, Bill. Chelsea, if you can weigh in on that.
So some of the things that we can do as state officials is unite and file a lawsuit back when we don't agree with the federal laws for violating our constitutional rights as elected officials, because we have a right to order in our capacity as well. Our elections in Nevada are already flawed. I sat up until 3:30 in the morning one night reading the entire NRS and finding out where the loopholes might be on our elections. We already are not in line with our current voter laws, and all of our county clerks are supposed to have the same uniform way to ensure that people aren't double voting in other counties, and they can't even see in other counties, so that's not even enforced either, which is a problem. I can't even see my vote from 2020, and when I called the Secretary of State, they said, well, it's because you moved to Nye County from Henderson, and I said, okay, but I'm still in the same state, so where is my vote? They said, well, it's county specific, so we can't tell you. The Secretary of State can't tell me if my vote counted? You're the one that's supposed to secure our elections? So mine and my husband's vote, we can't even see from 2020. That's a problem.
Thank you, Chelsea. Greg?
So I'm not going to reiterate the top-down process because you're concerned about this election and what we need to do now. And what I can tell you right now is that we have a bunch of county commissioners that are running for election right now. And in this county, we have a clerk, and their duties as clerk and the commission is to certify the election. and make sure that people are actually citizens that are casting their ballots and casting their votes. And so that's why this event right here is so important. When you look at the county commissioners that are running for office, and the clerk, I don't think we have a clerk debating tonight, but when the clerks come up for debate, it is so important to get good people elected, because they're the ones on the front lines. They're the ones that go through the ballots. They're the ones that have to put their name and certify the election. That we don't have that problem here in Nye County. I'm talking about us here, what we can do now. Obviously, there's the top down, but I told Mr. Jones what we need to do. But that's what we can do now, is ensure that we get the right people in the county commission this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Bert?
I truly believe the same thing as Greg, but I don't understand how our federal legislature, the federal representatives, can allow the President of the United States to step all over it. I mean, my God, somebody's got to go to work there too and start stopping the President from issuing orders that allow illegal aliens, not even migrants, illegal aliens in here, and give them all the rights and all the votes. Our vets don't get all that stuff. It disgusts me totally.
Anybody care to elaborate up to 30 seconds on that topic? Okay, we're going to move to one. Looks like this might be the last question, unless we get through it super quickly from the audience for this panel. We have Robert Fuller. I'm going to go with Mickey Joe Ashley again. Is Mickey Joe here?
Greg scared everybody off.
All right. Okay, so we had D Mounts. I think D's here. Yeah, D.
We have a item on the general ballot called diesel tax. A lot of people are getting very confused about that. We've already been paying, anybody that has a gasoline car, we're already paying the top amount, which is 9 cents. What do you feel? Do you feel the diesel tax would be fair for us to vote for or not?
Chelsea, you'll get first crack at that one.
Fair to vote for? Clarification.
I guess if what you're asking, obviously, D, is
I thought there
do they
was
think
errors with the way that it was on the ballot.
it's definitely
my
on there for
understanding.
sure on the ballot for Nye County only.
No, I saw that, but I thought that was already voted on. No. Oh.
It was just voted
Well,
by the commission to put on the ballot.
Here's
Yeah.
my problem with that. We're already taxed to death. And part of the other issue that I have with that is, even though we don't have a lot of farms in Nye County anymore, that hurts a lot of our farmers because they're the ones that run on diesel a lot. And I don't think it's fair to target one specific group of people with trucks when it's not for everybody. And I don't see how it's conducive to continue taxing us to death to create more money when there's so much wasteful spending. We need to reassess where our money is being spent, ensure that it's being spent wisely and not wasted, and stop being lazy. So no, I do not support any more taxes.
Thank you, Chelsea. Greg?
Dee, thank you. It's good to see you. And I love somebody that actually has a notepad with them and taking notes. I do that myself, and so I'm very appreciative of that. The question of whether or not it's fair to be on the ballot. In 2019, this bill came in front of us, and I voted against this. And the reason I voted against it is because there's two possible scenarios. Possibility scenario number one is what the county commission decided to do, and that's vote of the people. Scenario number two, though, is the county commission could have just implemented the 5 cents without a vote of the people to do so. And that I was opposed to. And I told them, I go, if you want me to support this, you have to eliminate that. And it's nothing against our county commissioners. Our county commissioners here did the right thing. They sent it to the people. I drive a diesel truck. I own a diesel truck. If the voters of this county want me to pay another 5 cents per gallon, I will happily pay the 5 cents per gallon. But I think that it is the people of the community that need to make that decision, and not the county commissioners. And I see a couple of county commissioners, and so I'll take the opportunity to say thank you for giving the people the chance to make the decision on whether or not they want to tax the diesel drivers, guilty as charged, that's me, or not. And I thank you for that, Bruce. And I don't know if there's any other commissioners in here, but if you are in here, thank you for doing the right thing and giving it to the voters.
Thank you, Greg. It's you, Bert.
So it's a Nye County cent tax. We did that in Elko County also, and the voters went ahead and put those taxes in place to the max for their road systems, because that's how the county takes care of the roads. But when you mention farmers and ranchers who run on diesel on them, I know there's two different kinds of diesel. One's red, one's normal, and they don't pay the road tax because they operate that machinery on the fields, so they don't pay the 5 cents for the extra diesel tax on it. So it's up to the voters, and I think the county commission did the right thing. That's what they did in Elko, and the voters voted it in. Well, eventually they voted it in. They voted it down 2 or 3 times, and then after the potholes got so bad, they went ahead and pushed the limits on it. So I think the county commission did the right thing.
Thank you, Bert. Bill?
The question was, is it the right thing to have a vote for the diesel tax? Yeah, I think it's the right thing to vote about the diesel tax. I'm not saying to vote for the diesel tax. Maybe we vote against the diesel tax. Now, Bert just brought up a good point about the different colors of diesel and whether it's taxed for agricultural purposes or highway purposes and not. Armagosa Valley Dairy uses a lot of diesel fuel. They probably would not be exempt from a diesel tax because they're on-road vehicles, not necessarily tractors and things of that nature. What I do have a problem with is the fact that if we put a diesel tax, then we get marked as a county to avoid buying diesel fuel. So if I'm a truck driver and I'm driving from the north part of the state to the south, you think I'm going to stop in Pahrump to get diesel? Probably not if I can get it cheaper somewhere else before I get here or after I get here. So we're going to see retailers lose volume of sales to counteract the diesel tax increase. I don't think it's a good idea.
Thank you, Bill. Did anybody have any elaboration they wanted to touch on that last question?
No new taxes.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move into closing statements for this panel. I thank you guys for keeping the answers pithy and on point. So we're going to go ahead and start. Let's just start closing statements from left to right. There's just a lot. There's a lot of cards. And it's a time constraint. Yeah.
I want to say thank you guys for hosting this event. It's been, like I said, an absolute honor to serve you guys. It's a sacrifice, and I know every single person up here is willing to make that sacrifice. It's long hours. It's time away from our families. It's hard on our health. I didn't have gray in this beard before I went up to Carson City. And neither did Bert. Ironically, he had a full head of hair and no gray hair.
When I was 20.
We do it because we love this community, we love this state, and we don't like the direction that it's been going, and we want to see it go in a better direction. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Bert?
And I also want to thank GCON and all the people who put this together. Amazing process. This is the second forum I've ever been in. We had 2 in Elko, 1 in the primary and 1 in the general, but it was nowhere nearly as attended like this one. The questions were all staged. They weren't given to us beforehand, but this is great. Get to hear from the public, and I certainly appreciate it. I learn a lot when I come down to Pahrump, and I'm always willing to listen to everybody and hear your points of view, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Good to have you. Bill?
I also want to give a big thank you both to our audience and our panelists here for being here. It takes a lot of courage to run for public office, and again, I appreciate everything that the 4 of us up here have done. And I just want to say that I think that this particular race needs a new generation of leadership and abilities back in Carson City. We need to represent all of the counties in this district. It's a vast district. 523 miles from top to bottom, 6 counties, 60,000 square miles. 53% of the volume of the state as far as square miles of the state. It's a big task. Greg mentioned earlier about how it is getting around and driving through there. I put 1,500 miles on my truck this week, going up to Ely and Eureka and over to Elko and back over to Reno and down to Carson City and back down to Pahrump. It's a big task. We need young, energetic leadership in the legislature to have the right ideas. my military experience, my law enforcement experience, my healthcare experience puts us in a position where we can have a strong leader in Carson City when we're required to be there. I'm legislating for you, not for me, and I want to be there to listen to your problems and your concerns and take that back to Carson City. The same goes for the northern part of the district. The problem we have in this district is this. This is a dog bone. And you got Elko at the top, you got Rump at the bottom. I use this as a tool prop to show you that we have 400 miles between the two major population centers. It takes a strong-willed person to represent both. I have an agricultural background that will serve the northern part well, and I'm stopped. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Chelsea.
I just want to also echo thank you, everybody, for being here. But we would not be here without the voters. And serving on the school board the last year and a half has been quite the journey. And if elected, I would be very sad to leave my students, but very proud to represent all of us on the state level for more than just our education. As I said previously, I was born and raised in Portland. My dad won't admit it, but my mom assured that she's a Democrat. So how I ended up a Republican, I'm not sure, but I can tell you that I know the inside, and Nevada is worth fighting for. You do not want the same things to slowly creep in, just like it has in other states. We are fighting communism, and a lot of this starts in the schools. I'm the only candidate in this race that understands education and has a plan on how to fix it. 30 seconds is about to come up. I am happy to speak to anybody outside of here and answer any questions. I do my research on everything. I'm not afraid to admit when I don't know something, but I will definitely spend the rest of my night until 3:30 in the morning reading about it. And I will get back to you. So I don't know it all, but I know a lot. I've worked for unions, I've worked for Teamsters, I've worked at the post office, I'm a veteran, a mother. I've done a lot of different things. I've worked in the medical field as a CNA, then I did medical assisting with phlebotomy and nursing, and then I realized how corrupt the medical field was, and I wanted no part of it. So here we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, I want to thank you, panel, again for another great substantive discussion. Thank you again for the audience and your participation. Sorry if we didn't get to your question during that panel. This was a great panel. And audience, let's give our legislative candidate panel a quick round of applause. Thank you all. Make sure you watch your step down. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and draw for a couple baskets. So when you checked in and you did the registration, no matter how you did it, we're going to draw right now for a couple free door prizes. So I'm going to draw a name right now if you guys have a moment. Okay. Now we're going to go to our final debate panel of the evening. If everybody can find their seats, we're just going to get this going again. Okay. Now, candidates for Nye County Commission District 3. You're going to have to pump this music really up when they come on stage, Will. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now again, we're going to be announcing the candidates from your left to the right of the stage. We have Nye County Commission District 3 candidates: Heath Campbell, Tammy Pittman, Gerald Schulte, John Worley, and Edward O'Brien. Welcome, District 3 panel.
There we go.
Thank you for staying awake and having a good time with this, lady and gentleman. Okay, so again, same format. Each candidate's going to have an opening statement of up to 2 minutes. Before we get into the town hall questions, we're going to start with the end candidate to the audience's left, which is going to be Heath, and then work our way across the stage. So we're going to have you all take turns being asked questions first. So again, we're going to try to keep it as fair as possible for you. And we ask that each of you, if you hear feedback, it might be mine right now, but maybe mute the mic if you're not talking, to avoid the audio problems. And then we're going to start now with Heath. The floor is yours. Heath Campbell.
Hi, my name's Heath Campbell. I've been in Pahrump since 1981. Went in the Navy 9 years, Navy vet. I'm looking forward to representing Nye County as Commissioner, District 3. Hold Pahrump near and dear to my heart, and I look forward to representing everybody in so many different ways and keeping common sense in the political realm, because I'm not a politician. If it doesn't make sense for the big decisions, it doesn't make sense for the little decisions, we shouldn't be doing it. We got to spend smart. We got to have our growth be where it should be. We got to take everything into consideration, the water and the housing, the low density and all that kind of stuff. So I look forward to hopefully representing you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Heath. Tammy Pittman.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. So one of the things that sets me apart is, in my industry, they call a purple squirrel, which is the person who has all the qualifications and then all your nice to haves. I've worked in small business. I grew up in a small business. I've worked in Fortune 100 companies. And I've also worked for a not-for-profit. I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps, not 10 little ones, but 10 huge years, which I cut my teeth in leadership. When I decided to do this, I didn't do this half-heartedly. I started going to all of the Board of Commissioner meetings. I've talked to people. I go meet the business people. I actually go to the subcommittee meetings to see how they interact with the Board of Commissioners. I want to be the voice of the people. The top 3 things that I think are important are that I'm hearing from the people, not that I've made this stuff up. Finances, roads and infrastructure, transparency. I have no dog in this race. This would be my full-time job. I'm not paying, somebody's not paying me, I'm not paying other people. I'm not having a side hustle on the internet. This would be my job. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Gerald Schulte.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to us. But I grew up as a poor child, grew up in a children's home out of Mesa, Arizona, came here when I turned an adult in the Las Vegas area and been here since. Been coming to Pahrump ever since I came to Las Vegas because of the trade I was actually in. I've been here for the last 30 years. I've had several of my family members follow me to Pahrump. My daughter's here, my grandchildren are here, my wife works here. I represent a big portion of Pahrump, which is manufactured homes, because that's what I sell, that's all I do, that's all I know. I represent low-income people, but again, saying that, I'm only one voice, one vote that's going to be on that county commissioner seat. So I'm going to represent all of Pahrump when I'm up there by representing the lower income, the people that need my help with what I do, and that's sell manufactured homes. What is Pahrump? Pahrump started as manufactured homes, and then all of a sudden the site bills came, and of course, you know, then the water problem came. But the biggest thing is the water problems are from the high density housing out here, and they keep voting for more and more. I'm going to vote that down every time, and as this debate goes on, I'll explain more. But Pahrump is my home. I'm going to die here, I'm going to retire here. But I want the best for Pahrump. I want the best for the Pahrump people. and I'm going to fight hell like hell for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Now, before we get to John Worley, I kind of told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I want to let the crowd know that it is John Worley's birthday today. And I want to thank you for doing nothing more than spending it in robust debate. Happy birthday, John. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So I won't take any more of your time. 2 minutes for you, John.
Thanks, Matt, and I want to thank you for putting this on, too.
Yeah, you're welcome.
On my
Least
birthday.
I could do for your birthday. Yeah, absolutely.
I was really close not to coming because it's my birthday.
It's either this or a dozen roses. We're debating.
Well, anyway, I was born and raised in Nye County, and I've seen most of Nye County on the back of a horse. As you can tell, I'm not a real big speaker. I'm a good listener, and I research problems, and I find solutions. And I was see what I mean? I was a United States Navy corpsman, and I was at 29 Palms. I was a nurse with California Department of Corrections for about 8 years. Then I came back to Nevada, and I was a DPS officer, and I was retired from that after 18 years. I give a lot of my time to nonprofits and stuff like that. My wife and I are business owners here in Pahrump, and I want to keep Nevada rural. And I've seen frustrations in the community and want to improve by nurturing to our youth and our seniors at the same time. I will have an open door policy with everyone. Most people that I know that I do that. I believe in our freedoms, and I want our freedoms to be the same as our forefathers. And I will be that voice for the people of Nye County, fair, balanced, and firm.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Okay. Edward O'Brien, over to you.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Matt, for putting this event on.
Absolutely.
Very much appreciated, and the Community Center for letting us do this here. Also, the emergency responders, as well as our armed forces, current and past, that have served, thank you as well. So, I've been here 31 years. I graduated out here. I'm obviously, the youngest person on this panel.
Barely.
The one thing you'll learn about me is I'm a go-getter. Obviously, that being so young, going after county commissioner. I've been out here so long that I'm like, you know what? I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Nye County, and I want to be the voice for the people. There is a lot of issues out there. We all understand that, and I want to have an impact on those issues for you and be your guys' voice. And that is exactly why I decided to run for county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Now back to you over there, Heath.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. You started.
I did.
Sorry. I thought we were on.
Thank
sorry.
you for noticing me.
Hey. Can't get enough of Heath Campbell. Sorry, you guys. All right. Now, so we're going to go to our first questions. So the first question is going to be starting with, Tammy, you're going to answer first on it. And the first questioner is going to be Leo Blundo. Leo, are you here? Leo's gone? Okay.
On was.
Okay. If he's still here, I'm going to put him in the queue for the next question. Wow. We have Taylor again, area code 435. Taylor. Just left Taylor on the card. All right. We got, I don't think Mickey Joe Ashley is here, right? Back to her again.
Does anybody have a question?
Hey, we're going to get there. D Mounts, are you still here, D? Okay. Question for the County Commission 3 panel.
If you become commissioner, what are your ideas to bring in business that will feed our local economy?
I've talked to a lot of small business.
No, we're actually going to start with Tammy. Yeah.
Can we start again? I've talked to a lot of small business owners, and there are some rather large hurdles that make it difficult to start a business here. One of them is the infrastructure. Rezoning the entire town, figuring out what the infrastructure should be, investing a lot of money in infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, etc., so that we can indeed support companies. People go, I want a Chili's. Well, you can't get Chili's. Chili's they have a particular, they look for a particular demographic, and they also look for enough density, and we don't meet those. And then they would have to come in and put in all the water, et cetera, because they probably want to be over by the south end of town where there is no sewer and city water. So it would be very, very expensive. They'd have to run the water to the nearest hydrant. So long story short, until we invest in our town, we're not going to be the bright, shiny spot on the horizon for these companies to come to. We need to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Gerald?
Repeat the question, please.
Dee, can you just, is there a way you could reiterate that real quick? I don't want to take your words. Yeah.
No, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to start by changing who runs the county. Planning and zoning for one thing, because they're carpetbaggers. These people that run our town have only been here a few years. They've come from bigger cities with bigger city ideas. And we got to eliminate the cost that it takes for a business to actually open up in this town. Impact fees for one thing. They're not creating an impact. They're creating jobs when they come here. They're bringing money here. They're going to employ our town. So we're going to start, I'm going to start with the county. I'm going to eliminate the power that their planning director has in this town, because right now he's probably the most powerful person, and that's even more power than Tim Sutton over there. What he sponsors right now, we've got a few of the county commissioners that seem to always go along with him and get things his way. Well, that's got to change. I'm going to be a vote on that bench, and I'm going to ask the right questions. I'm going to ask the hard questions. I'm not going to be biased, and I'm not going to ask leading questions like a couple of our county commissioners do now. Everybody's going to really have to answer now to the things that are harming this town instead of the candy coating that they're doing at this point. Again, it has to start at the county level, and to eliminate the high cost that's imposed on businesses that want to come.
That's time. Thank you, Gerald. Now to you, John.
What I'd like to see is a streamline of the process to get a business here. When you call in, and I've heard stories where they called in and they get one answer, and then they call in again later and they get another answer. I want to streamline that process so everybody gets the same answer when it's get-go time for their business. I would like to see impact fees, maybe for businesses to be possibly paid over a certain time period, which would make it as they're successful, they can pay their fees better, quicker. That way they don't have. It's really expensive to start up a company here, because you have to pay a new company here. You have to pay your impact fees, all those fees that come up. That's expensive. That's more startup money you have to have. If we make it simpler, maybe they'll pay over time. I think possibly that would probably help the new businesses come to Pahrump. Infrastructure is another big deal. If the power lines are old here, they need to be upgraded. City water and sewer in some places work here, and such things like that.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you. And before we go to Eddie, I just want to again reiterate the housekeeping rules. You've got to keep some of the background chatter down, ladies and gentlemen back there. We're having a little bit of distraction on here for the panel, so please take the sidebar conversations to the side rooms or outside. Thank you very much. Now back to you, Eddie.
Thank you. I want a movie theater. Obviously, I'm an advocate for small business, and I'm also an advocate for decent paying jobs or high paying jobs. I know a lot of everybody sees the amount of vehicles that are going back and forth to Vegas and other areas doing the commute, and it's brutal for a lot of people paying for that gas and being able to support their families. You want healthy economic growth, economic development, and you want to bring out small businesses. Be careful about the larger corporations, and most definitely, I think we need to look at all possible options as far as that goes. So, but definitely, actually, like John was saying, streamline the process for sure. It's absolutely, it's something that we definitely need to look at, and I completely spaced on what I was going to say next, but that's my answer as far as that goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now back to you, Heath, on that question.
So I think the question was more of the what we do as a county commissioner to promote businesses coming into town. I think touching base on definitely streamlining the system. We hear a lot of stuff about red tape. Well, what is the red tape? Is the red tape that everybody's bitching about, is it because they want to cut corners? Then I'm not for that. But if it's to make it more efficient and more streamlined, then absolutely. I think it's our duty to help promote that. But again, there's different criteria that different businesses have for their success. So we want businesses to come here. We want smart growth, but we want to do it so it's sustainable for them. We don't want a bunch of businesses to come into town, set up shop, spend a lot of money, and then have to close down because it's not viable for them. It just doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, we shouldn't be doing it or promoting it. But that's, a lot of times with being a business owner, as a former business owner, you take the risk. We know the risk. So that's why a lot of the chains and stuff won't come in, because they have requirements. We all want a In-N-Out. We all want a Chili's. But it's for them to decide if we have the population, we have the growth, and that kind of stuff, for them to be sustainable. And that's what we want. We want that for anybody, small business or big. So, thank you.
Thank you, Heath. Can open it up for 30-second elaborations. Go ahead, Tammy. 30 seconds.
I was just talking to a small business owner who has another business owner who wants to rent from him, and he was saying how every time he would go in to ask a question, they would change the rules or they would move the goal. So I proposed what I'd like to propose, and I talked to him about it, was having a small business or a new business concierge. And then they would actually go through all our processes, create a booklet, one for growing an existing business.
Anybody else have 30-second response? I'm going to let you have another 20 seconds, Tammy.
Yeah, growing the existing business, starting a new business, or taking an existing business and turning it into something totally different. So having three separate pathways. Okay. And make it one easy.
Thank you, Tammy. Anybody else want a 30-second rebuttal time or elaboration on that question?
Like I said before, it needs to be streamlined. It needs to be, they call up, they have a modality that says you need this, 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 and this, and it shouldn't change every time. It needs to be the same every time for every individual business. And you say Chili's and In-N-Out and all that, they have a certain criteria that they go by. And once we meet that criteria, they'll be here.
Thank you, John. So we're going to move on now to another question from the crowd. Leo Blundo, if you're back in the room, I put you back in the queue for a question if you're still here. So I thought I saw you. Did someone grab? Yeah, they're running it over to you. And Gerald, you'll be the first up to respond to this question.
Thank you.
Test. I don't want to be too loud and blow the mics. Good evening. Former Commissioner Leo Blundo here, and thank you, Matt. You're doing a great job. Thank you to the candidates. There's a candidate that is not here, and unfortunately, he's doing a shadow campaign. What say you candidates that did make the time and effort to attend? What say you that he is a convicted felon out of Chicago? How do you feel about one of your competitors not showing up and having such egregious charges, yet making so many false allegations about all of you? Would you address that, please?
No, that's a tough question. I am going to allow that, though. That is a fair question. Starting with you, Gerald.
Well, Leo, I understand. It's the people that he should have been here. He should have been here to answer to that question. I don't know what his background is, but I know he's been in over the last 20 years in 11 different states. And like I said, I mean, I call out the carpetbaggers, the people that don't belong here, the people that came from California with their California ideas. We don't need them here. And Ian is probably one of those persons that is, he's got his way of doing things. I know it's radical. If I wasn't running, I know I wouldn't be voting for him. But he should have been here. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Gerald. Now to you, John.
Well, I don't know his criminal history. I haven't read his criminal background. And that's unfortunate for him. He should have been here. He should have been able to answer those hard questions that he would have been asked if his history is the way it is. He should have been here. That's
Fair enough.
all I can say.
Thank you, John. Eddie, over to you.
The one thing I can tell you is this. Luke, who's on this panel right now, we're here, that's what matters. I've never been arrested, I've never been charged.
Me neither.
Thank you. So, obviously, that's the reason why I'm here. But definitely he should have been here to be able to defend himself on that question. Okay? Unfortunately, he's not here, but I'm kind of surprised that he was able to make it on the ballot in the first place. And it's up to the people to decide who is going to be the best person in this seat, District 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Heath Campbell.
I haven't put too much thought into Ian, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you. Tammy.
Since I actually have been the recipient of some of his vitriol, and I've been given sort of tidbits of what he said about me, I just find it really odd that he fights for corruption, fixing corruption when he indeed is the corrupt individual, and if you had voted for him, you're asking for a more corrupt government. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm going to open it up for anybody who wants to elaborate on their answer or anything new with that question for 30 seconds. Anybody?
Well, one thing about Ian, if you look at his signs, the way they're put up, if that's going to be indicative of the way he's going to be a county commissioner, you can tell already you don't want to vote. Thanks.
Thanks, Gerald. Anybody else add into that one? All right, we're moving on now. So we have another question from one of our audience members, Len Chiani. Len, you foregoing? Okay. Doug Knowles. Is Doug still here? Doug. Yeah.
Hi, I'm a resident of District 3. What I want to know, give me a second. Never mind.
Okay. All right. Are you Gwen Doyle? No, Gwen Doyle. No, Gwen? Okay.
I bet you could be, Anthony.
Harley Colkin. Harley still here? Tim Bohannon.
Okay, Tim Bohannon here. The question I have is, we've had floods over the last 3, 4, 5 years that have caused significant damage. Are you in favor or not in favor of having a retention basin or some sort of groundwater capture to reduce that risk?
So John Worley, you're going to go first on this one.
I'm in favor of retention basins. There was one planned up north by maybe Carpenter Canyon and about over to Wheeler Pass, and nobody wanted to do it, hence we had a nice flood. And I'm vacuuming out my laundry room with a wet vac. So yes, I'm in favor of retention basins. They come in handy. And as we're getting bigger, we're going to need those. The natural flora is being changed, and it's having an impact.
Thank you, John. Eddie?
Can I get the question one more time?
Thank you, Tim.
Yes, are you in favor of having retention basins to address the flooding that we've had in the valley in the last few years? I've been there for 5, so 3 of the 5 we've had floods, including down Gamebird where you had a car get stuck in the ditch, right at, I think it was over at Fox.
I am not opposed to protecting our land. I can tell you right now that obviously every single time it floods, we definitely feel that impact. Obviously, I live just off of Homestead and Gamebird area, and guess what? We get flooded majority of the time. So definitely not opposed to that for sure. I know my dad personally, every single time floods happen, we suffer. I can't pull up the video right now because I think it's actually on my computer, but I got a video of my house, my field. I live on a farm out here just off of Homestead. I have a video of that farm that looks like a lake of, I can't remember when the most recent major flood was. I think it was about a year or 2 ago, but definitely not opposed to protecting properties, for sure.
Thank you, Eddie. Heath?
Absolutely. If it's something that we need that would obviously keep the flooding from happening, as long as we do it right, have it planned out and stuff. So absolutely. Makes sense.
Okay, Tammy?
I live on Winery Road, and apparently there was a retention basin / rib already planned. Corps of Engineering had earmarked the money, and it was ready to be taken care of. Because if you've ever been down Winery Road after a rain, you're going to need a canoe. So Hurricane Katrina came in and took all that money, and the government walked away with our retention basin, which would have saved a whole lot of problems. We should be putting them in, and also could then retain that water, and it would go into our water table. So it's a really, really good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Gerald?
I agree with Tammy to a point, but a lot of the flooding that goes down Gamebird is the result of the winery being built on the fan, and not to mention the racetrack. But we have what's going on in the fan right now, all these gravel pits, which make ideal reservoirs to catch the water, to either refeed into the groundwater or use a detention basin to pump the water back down and to recharge our lower valleys. But yes, we've got a lot of land that's unbuildable, that's not going to be buildable in the Pahrump area for the next 40, 50 years because of the cost of infrastructure with the monopoly Great Basin, if anybody really knows about it. So they're ideal to create retention basins in those type of properties that have to probably be acquired through eminent domain. But these are lands that preferred equities were bussing people out here over the last 50 years, selling them their dreams that they think they were going to retire here, but it's not possible because they're unbuildable lots. They're not ever going to have water or sewer because of how small they are. But put the gravel pits along the fan to where they're going to catch the water. Because quite honestly, we know we got bad soil. Every house is going to need a lot of gravel that's brought off that pit. Let's build more reservoirs along the fan to catch the water before it crosses over 160.
Thank you, Gerald. Going to open it up for 30-second add-ons there. John? And then Eddie, if you're interested. Okay.
I have a little add-on there. We learned in high school, in environmental class, that if you change the fauna, the landscape, that it changes the landscape. Well, I lived here for 50 years at the time, and suddenly a lot of the sand dunes at Binion's was gone. It was gone. And my house flooded. And let me tell you why, because there's no...
All right. Everybody's going to hang in suspense. I'll circle back to him. I'm going to have Eddie go. Hang on to that thought. Eddie, 30 seconds, buddy.
I'd like to just make one comment that I'm curious about. Off of Gamebird, there is the signs that say this is a storm-ready county. I'm kind of curious to see where the plans were on that and why those signs were even put up. Maybe it was because of that ditch that goes all the way down. Maybe, I don't know. I'm really curious about that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Eddie. John.
But when there were sand dunes, I didn't worry about... I actually saw the wall of water coming towards my house when it flooded. And when the sand dunes were there, there was no wall of water coming down to my house. Anyway, if we're going to change the fauna of the landscape, we need to make retention areas for the water to prevent flooding like that. It wasn't just me, it was all my neighbors too.
Gotcha. Thank you, John. Any other candidates want to chime in? All right. We're gonna move into the next audience question. And Eddie, you're gonna go first on this one. Karen Waldman. I think you're here. Karen? Multitasking, all right.
Testing. Here we go, Karen. Excuse me, guys. I'm coming back to the kitchen.
We have a problem managing money in Nye County. The highest percentage of the county budget is payroll and benefits. When confronted with questions, commissioners tend to proclaim that they don't have anything to do with that. My question is, if you don't, then who does? Don't you approve the requests for new or added positions? Would you be responsible in controlling our budgets for these departments in the way of approving the funding for them?
Eddie.
That is a really good question. Thank you for that. That is one of the major things that I was, the platform that I was running on was accountability and transparency. Obviously, we have a lot of employees that are making more than the governor of the state right now. And in my opinion, that's wrong, regardless of how long you've been working for the county. Now, I like to put it this way, trimming the fat, personally. Or we gotta really analyze the budget for sure. This is where accountability and transparency come in. The last time on the Transparent Nevada that anything has come out on salaries alone was 2019. Are you kidding me? That's wrong, especially with taxpayers' dollars. This is such an extensive question. I appreciate this one for sure. Because there's a lot of heads at this county that are making well in excess of $200,000 and almost $300,000. And we definitely need to be looking at our budgets, and we need to be accountable, especially when it comes to the overspending and having to borrow or loaning ourselves money to be able to take care of the already exceeded amount that was budgeted for the year to be able to continue operating. So most definitely there has to be accountability when it comes to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Heath?
I think we definitely need to look at that. It has to do with how did it get to that point in the first place, and then kind of go back from there and analyze, finding out exactly where the promotions came from, this, that, and the other. You'd have to get the directors involved with the county and find out who's making those decisions, what the pay scales, if it's the commissioners that are like setting it, or if they're just approving what the budget says, oh yeah, we can do this, then obviously we need to look at that, because if that is in fact true, where a lot of people are getting paid more than the governor and they've been in the county for a while now, I'm all for getting a good wage and getting paid for doing a good service for the county, absolutely, and having the benefits for that. But at the same time, it's got to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, then why are we doing it? Or we need to revisit that and say, hey, why are they making that? Obviously, I don't think we can say, okay, we're going to give you a pay cut. That doesn't make sense either. But we got to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. So when it starts cycling people out that are on the high end of the spectrum, then let's be a little more controlled on that, for sure. The budget, transparency, all that comes into play. So, thank you.
Thank you, Heath. Tammy?
We have an $84 million budget. Over 50% of that is payroll, and then you put HERS on top of that, which is the retirement plan. So the rest of that budget, what's left, is for running the entire county. Now, I have it under good authority that we have enough money to do it if we are very frugal. The reason there are such inflated salaries is, unfortunately, we have contracts, union contracts, that have even got automatic 3% or 4%, whatever the percentage, raises, whether you do a good job or not. Yeah, it is a wow. So, putting in place incentives so that people have to earn their increases, putting all of the increased money in a pot, and then somebody might be able to get a 5% increase if they kick butt and take names. And if they don't, they might get a 1. We need to make it equitable, and we need to make it merit-based again. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Gerald.
There used to be a time the Pahrump Valley Times would publish everything the county pays out every quarter. And I used to look at that, and the retirement packages that the Nye County employees receive, I couldn't justify that in my mind. We're in the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that they're paying out every month to these portfolios, and I don't understand it. It's to benefit the employees out there. Who voted on this? Who spearheaded this in the beginning to allow these people to reap these kind of benefits in the beginning? The only way they're going to go away is if these people die off. But they're still going to be collecting for the next 20, 30 years, even if they work for the county for 10 years. But the thing is, if you lived in Pahrump and you were fortunate to get a job at the county, you're going to stay with it. You're going to be there 20, 30 years. That's going to be your career. And then you're going to really get a great benefit package after the fact, like what they're doing now. That's just eating into our funds. And we got to do something about it. I can't tell you what, but it needs to be looked at.
Thank you, Gerald.
A dynamic budget where it changes from time to time. Fire department is one of them, police is the other. But everything else is kind of planned. So when there's unexpected expenditures, that's kind of, I'd like to nail them down on that and see exactly what those unplanned expenditures were. As far as the retirement, I paid into my retirement myself. I didn't have a county entity paying into my retirement. That's all done by union contract for Nye County. And that's the county making the contract. You can't blame the department heads. They're not included in it. So I'd like to pin them down and see what unexpected expenditures they mean.
Thank you, John. Going to open it up for 30-second elaborations on that topic, if anybody so chooses. Eddie?
The one thing I'd like to input on that is that we were talking about contracts, union contracts, or if they are individual contracts that are approved through the Board of County Commissioners. As commissioners, we need to maybe perhaps establish, or I'd like to see if there's any non-performance clauses in those contracts that states if there's any alleged activity going on with these employees that are contracted, then we have a right to terminate.
Thank you, Eddie. Tammy, you want to elaborate? Go ahead. 30 seconds.
One option is to actually encourage people to retire early, giving them a retirement package. This can have some alternative, unforeseen circumstances, but it is an option. The other thing is to manage through attrition, which takes a lot longer. That's the long game. But managing through one way or the other, we need to get rid of the high-paid, overpaid people.
Thank you, Tammy. Anybody want to?
I just want to say one thing. We can nibble away at this in every department, eliminating time and a half overtime. I want to elaborate a little bit of how I saved the county $20,000. I put in living quarters at the new fire station on Bella Vista. When I did the bid, I was awarded it, and then they come back and said, "Well, you didn't include a bid bond." And I said to them, "I don't need to include a bid bond on it. If I did it, it would have cost me 10% of the total contract, which would have been another $25,000 that the county would have had to pay." The reason I didn't need to do a bid bond is because I was not collecting payments on this project. I started the project and I collected one fund, one amount of monies at the end of the contract. Therefore, they didn't need protection as if I was going to defunct as a company while I was involved in it. So there's a lot of little things that can be done. And with the right business person on that bench, a lot of this stuff can be eliminated. A lot of money. And if it's $100,000, $200,000, that's going to make a difference in certain entities.
Okay. Thank you, Gerald. Tammy, 30 seconds, please.
Another option is beneficial suggestions. If somebody comes up with a system or an idea that saves the company money or county money, they would get a reward, like $5,000. It could be a percentage. If you save $100,000, you may get $10,000, but it would save us money. It would have to be tracked, and we'd have to actually see it happen. The money would have to be saved before they get the incentive.
Tammy. Anyone else want a quick elaboration before we try to squeeze in another question or two, hopefully, here? Okay, so we're going to go to our next questioner in the audience. Hopefully you're still here. It's actually Lou Baker. Lou still here?
I'm coming, Lou. I'm coming through the... All right, here we go.
Yes, I have a question, and the question really deals with the water and the drought and everything that's coming up. Okay, I got a warning that we're in serious trouble as far as fire danger is concerned, because as we've got lots of water now, but unfortunately it also added to the growth of the sagebrush and the weeds. How are we going to be able to deal with a monster firestorm? You can say it didn't happen. It happened in Hawaii. It happened up in the desert here. There was short the ability to have the electricity and so forth. What are we doing to avert a major disaster here in Pahrump?
This question goes to Heath Campbell first.
I think I understood the question to be, what are we doing to avert a major disaster in Pahrump? I'd have to talk to the fire chief. Emergency, they have a team for that. So honestly, that's a great question. I don't know.
Thank you for your honesty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tammy.
So I actually had a conversation with our sheriff recently, because do you remember when all the power went out in Furnace Creek and they had no electricity and no pumping of water and no pumping of sewage? It was quite a while. And so I said, what would you do here? And he said, it happened there. And so there was no answer. So it's a concern.
Thank you. To you, Gerald.
I don't know what type of major disaster you'd be talking about, but the only thing that came to my mind is if the stores closed and my wife had no retail therapy. But I'm sorry, I just don't know. I mean, what type of...
Come on, decorum in the audience. Let him finish.
I don't know what type of major disaster would constitute a major disaster in our small town. Fire?
Leah, you gotta keep it down. All right.
She asked me to do something, and I don't know how to do that either. So.
Okay. We'll move for John's response to this question, please.
Okay, if there's a major disaster like firestorms or tornadoes or floods, there is a system set in place by the emergency manager and the fire department, and the sheriff's office is involved in that, and they've had training in 100, 200, 300, and so forth like that. And they're trained to make an incident command post and figure the problems out, and they're trained to take care of those individual problems. And it's our job as citizens to help our neighbor and to help with that process of how to take care of an ongoing emergency problem. And a disaster is one of those problems. It would be the community coming together and helping the people that they need help with the direction of the emergency manager. And in a perfect world, that's how it would work.
Gotcha. Okay. To you, Eddie.
That was a very great question. And so, anything major disasters that could happen out here? I mean, I know we've had major winds, obviously. A lot of people have experienced that. Stuff blowing around. As far as fires, major floods, those disasters as well. The way I see it is you have to be proactive instead of reactive. And we've been behaving reactively to a lot of different scenarios that are obviously nature made for a very long time. Now, as far as if there's a major disaster goes, emergency management, we need to collaborate with them. We need to collaborate with the sheriff's office and prepare for those and the worst possible scenarios, if they may happen. Let's say hazardous materials, and that's a whole other rabbit hole. I don't want to mention the stuff that just got approved. We just have to be prepared for this stuff. And if we're not, we're going to be reactive to it, and it could cost lives. And we definitely don't want to be doing that. And in most severe cases, reaching out to the state and also federal, meaning FEMA, and bringing in all possible resources. I know National Guard came out here during the floods as well to prepare for that. That's how I see us doing that as a BFCC and preparing for in that scenario. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. All right, we're going to move on to one. We're going to give 30-second responses if you can keep them pithy. Thank you.
It was within the last 2 meetings of the Board of Commissioners meetings that they passed a request to work with the government I think the Army should do drills for some kind of emergency management. Who knows, because that drill may be of a different kind of emergency than what we have, but it's at least a beginning.
Anyone else wanted to add to that?
I would just like to say, in an extreme disaster, I think prompt would be like having a volunteer fire department. We've got a vast amount of people that would all come together to help each other out and direct us through whatever the devastation might be looking us in the eye. So,
Thank you, Gerald. So we're going to move on to probably our final question before this panel concludes. We're going to go to John Shewalter for a question.
Tessie. Sorry.
Greetings. The Board of County Commissioner has one single employee, the town manager. During his reviews, he's admitted that he could do a better job than what he's done. Yet, the current Board of County Commissioners seems hell-bent on providing him raise after raise after raise in an indication that he's doing a great job. Will each of you commit to maintaining a purely professional relationship with your one single employee so that you can deal with him appropriately, considering the complaints that come as long as the day? Thank you.
So we're going to go back to Tammy as the first respondent to that question.
Mr. Shewalter, my whole background has been in human resources since I left the Marine Corps. And yes, that is what I do for all levels, from the CEO down, professional, and holding everybody accountable, having the same standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Gerald?
you know, I don't think everybody understands how the county government works. It's Tim's got a job to do, but he kicks the can down the road when it comes to every aspect of running this government. Like I said, the most powerful person we have right now is Brad Wagoner with the Planning and Zoning Director. He's the one that that sponsors everything that comes before the county commissioners that the county commissioners approve. And that's one of the reasons I'm running, because he just gets too much approved. It's his way or no way. If anybody pays attention to the videos when the county commissioner meetings are happening, if they would look at the monitors for Tonopah when the county commissioner's up there, you can actually see which county commissioners are writing notes down and all that that are going to respond to something, and then you can see which county commissioners are just there passing time away. You'll be able to identify which county commissioners we need to keep and which ones we need to get rid of. But the bottom line is, I've talked to Tim many, many times, and he's always got to go to somebody else in his department to give me the answer. He can never give it to me himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Now to you, John.
I'll make it real simple. It's a simple question, and I'll commit to that. I treat everybody with professionalism all the time. That's just how I work. I'll commit to that, not a problem.
Thank you, John.
I'll commit to it.
Eddie, your turn.
Of course, I'll commit to professionalism, most definitely. The county manager has a very extensive job of the county. He works for the people, or he should work for the people, or the county manager should work for the people, and he reports to the board. Now, this is where the non-performance, as far as the contract goes, would come into play. And this is also where that non-performance would be the alleged complaints coming forth when it came to his contract renewal, to give the people the chance to air those complaints, and if it was deemed necessary to be able to, in a professional way, professionally I should say, to reevaluate that contract, then most definitely have to move forward with that and work and collaborate with the BOCC and hear those complaints as well. So, yes.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yes, I would commit to that. I think every county employee should be treated with professionalism, and that doesn't mean you can't have a good relationship with an employee. But at the same time, as if he's not performing the way he should be, and I think I've heard some of the complaints as well. But that's where a review comes in, and you sit down professionally with somebody, whether it's him or some other county employee. If they're not doing their job properly, then there's steps to take care of that. So, and that's what we probably should start doing a lot more, because there's some consensus that county workers aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They don't treat the public like they should and all that stuff. I'm a customer service background. That doesn't mean you have to like bend over and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you have to treat the citizens with respect, and you have to do your job. You have to do your job. If you don't, you should get fired. It's common sense, right? So, thank you.
Thank you, Heath. Anybody want to elaborate on that final question for the 30 seconds? Any rebuttals?
Well, I just want to say Mr. Sutton is a very, very intelligent man. He's very professional. If anybody watch him at where he needs to be when he has to speak, he is very intelligent. But I don't think he has the strength to intimidate his employees where he shows the power that he really should have. Again, like I say, there's other parts of the county employees that seem to have more power that actually does more to get things changed. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
There was a yes or no question, pretty much.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so now we're going to enter the time. Now we're going to go to closing statements from each of the candidates, and we're asking that these are the last closing statements of the night, limited to 90 seconds. And we're going to actually start right back up with you, Gerald. You were next in the rotation, so you have your 90 seconds to close.
Well, it's kind of easy getting through this, but, you know, there's a lot of you going to vote for Trump. And you're going to vote for Trump because he's a great businessman. He's not a politician, but he's a great businessman. And when you're good at business, you know how to run things. You know how to deal with people. You know how to get things done. I'm a businessman. I've been here 30 years. I've been in business for 20 years here. I'm good at it. I've been through the tough times, and I maintained the same business. I didn't jump from business to business and say I'm a businessman. I have a business. I do over $7 million a year that I have to handle, and I have on average of 15 to 17 employees. We're very successful at what we do, and with that, with the trades I know, with all the practical experience that I bring to this job throughout the 50, 40-something years that I've been working between construction, home building, road building, electrician, carpenter, plumbing. I have a vast knowledge in a lot of different trades that the county actually has to work with. So with that type of knowledge, I'm gonna ask the hard questions. I'm gonna be able to ask questions to the layman, basically, that is gonna try and bring questions to me and think they're gonna baffle and bullshit me, basically.
Thank you, Gerald. John.
Thank you again for having this G-Con conference, question, answer, debate, what do you want to call it?
Sounds good.
Something like that. Anyway, I was born and raised here in Pahrump, and I've seen a lot of changes. I remember when that wall didn't have any doors in it. I remember when the trees were just little sticks. I remember when on the other side of the arena there was nothing but sand dunes, and Binion was still making great wine. I didn't drink it. I didn't know about it. I was young. But anyway, I've seen this valley come up, and Jerry's right. There was a lot of trailers back in the day. We probably have one of them. I'm not sure. They're trailers. Anyway, I want to be your voice for Nye County, not just Pahrump, but Nye County as a whole. It's the whole county that we need to think about. It's just not Pahrump, it's the whole county. And that's what's important to me, the whole county. Not just, Pahrump is important. Pahrump it's turning into a suburb of Las Vegas. It is. People are moving here from California. It's true. And hopefully they're moving here to get away from what is in California. I've been there. I've signed CC&Rs, and it's horrible. That's pretty much my feeling about being a county commissioner.
Thank you, John. Eddie.
Thank you. First of all, thank you guys for coming out and listening to all the candidates. You got a lot of great candidates for going for District 3, and there's a lot of choices. So, for sure. I just want to let you know that I will fight for you. I will be a voice for you, and I will listen to you. I'm a go-getter. And obviously, as we all know, there's a lot of, like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of different issues out there. The major points, you have a whole list of the major points, okay? One of the major ones is the corruption in Nye County. I want to fight for you to be able to hold people accountable when it comes to that word. And when you vote for me, you will find out, along with the rest of the BFCC, just what I mean by that. And that's what my platform is the transparency and accountability within the county. Thank you. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have an awesome night.
Thank you, Eddie. Heath.
Heath Campbell, local, been a resident for over 40 years. I didn't read this before when I did my opening statement, so I'm going to kind of close with this. Small business owner and entrepreneur with strong commitment to community. Transparency. I'm willing to have open and honest discussions and committed to fact-finding. And having open and honest reporting, we must fight misinformation with facts. Affordable housing. We didn't really touch base on that, but to sustainably grow our community, we must explore and encourage development of affordable, multi-dwelling projects to serve the needs of the people on all income levels. And I agree with having low-density housing, so we got to find a good mix for that. Homelessness. We must first understand the problem thoroughly, investigate alternatives, and recognize the impacts of each choice before developing a plan of action. It's a smart way to do it. We got to use common sense. A lot of people think that the homeless people are all from everywhere else. Well, in my job, I interact with a decent amount of them, and a lot of them are been here a long, long time. So that's a lot of stuff. But I'm committed to Pahrump, and I'm committed to Nye County. I've been here a long time, and I just want to see it prosper. Heath Campbell, nvlikenevada.com. A little bit about me, and thank you for your time, and thanks for staying for the best show.
Thank you, Heath. And Tammy, you can close us out.
So I appreciate everybody for coming. A lot of faces out there I know, and I know it's late, so thank you very much. Much appreciated. A couple of things we didn't touch on one was water. I think it's our most precious resource. We need to conserve it, and I've been working with Dan Weeks, and I've talked to Helene and figuring out where the optimum level of housing and people in this valley where we can support it and have recharge. The new studies have come out, and they're a lot more accurate than they used to be. Wells are very important, and I think anybody who has the land to have a well should keep their wells. But there's a county here in this state that actually lost because of their wells were going down so low. The state is taking away their water rights. So we have to proactively manage it so we don't end up like them. We need to, if you turn off the tap when you're brushing your teeth, when you let the water run because it's too hot or In this wintertime, it's too cold. Capture that water. Use it to water your plants. Use it to water your dogs. Like I have a pitcher next to every one of our taps, and I just constantly do that. If everybody did something, we need to educate our children about that as well, because they get taught about how to recycle, but not about something even more impressive, water.
Thank you, Tammy, and I want to thank you, District 3 panelists. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and give a big thanks to Nye County Commission District 1, 2, and 3, along with our legislative candidates today. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being a good crowd. On behalf of the candidates and Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada, thank you for attending. Good night. God bless Nevada, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matt.